thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
College football getting something right? Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Excited around here because we get some changes to college football, and I'm in favor of all of them. Also, Andrew Perloff back in studio today, playing hurt.
Oh,
we'll
do not start. Do not start.
Get to
Can
your
we focus
latest
on sports and not focus on my falling apart body?
Well, we'll get to all of it because, well, this is the kind of show we are. But the news that came out about the college football playoff, Perloff, they have announced they're going to the 5+7 model. So let me tell you what that is. We're going to 12 teams in the college football playoff starting next year. So instead of 4, we're going to 12. Okay, we can quibble about whether that's right or wrong, but this is happening. So how they're going to determine which 12 teams get into this college football playoff is going to be the top 5 conference champions. 5 conference championships. Sorry, Pac-12. You no longer exist, basically, so this is going to be most likely the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the ACC will most likely get their champions in, and then most likely the 5th would be the group of 5 champions. So we're talking about one team from either the AAC, the American, the Sun Belt, Conference USA, the MAC, or the Mountain West. Then the other 7 teams are at-large bids, just like we do in the NCAA tournament on the men's and women's side for basketball.
But it's not just like the NCAA tournament. And explain why it's not exactly like the NCAA tournament.
Well, the NCAA tournament, it doesn't matter which conference you're in. You can get a top seed no matter what. Now, the other thing about the NCAA tournament, though, for basketball is you don't get a bye. Now, the top 4 seeds in this new model, just the top 4, are going to get a bye. So that means 5 through 12 are going to play first-round games. So they're going to play those first-round games. The higher seed will host. So the 5-12, the 6-11, the 7-10, the 8-9 game, and then they will move on. There's no reseeding. The 8-9 will play the 1 seed. The 7-10 will play the 2 seed. The 6-11 will play the 3, and the 5-12 will play the 4. Have I confused the crap out of everyone so far? I love this. I think this is great, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I like that this means being a conference champion still means something.
Why?
Because you can't just have the SEC and the Big Ten have the only teams that get this advantage of getting a bye, right? You need to have a little bit of integrity, which is something that's been lost in college football, of the conference as long as we have them.
Why? I don't understand. Why are you protecting? Who cares about the conferences? The conferences are a joke. The people who organize the conferences are idiots. Why are you protecting this? It's arcane system that doesn't help anybody except the conference executives who line their pocket. Let's face it. If the top 4 teams are all from the ACC and the SEC and the Big Ten, that should be the top 4 rankings. And don't even get me started on Notre Dame, which is a whole separate issue. Right. Notre Dame should also have the ability to be the number 1 seed and get a bye. Why do we have to have this artificial guideline? We're adults. We can tell what the first 4 teams are. We have to help out the ACC when the ACC isn't putting the appropriate resources into football. Why?
Well, listen, I don't know if it's necessarily helping the ACC. It's helping whoever to keep integrity of the conference champions or else everything's subjective. Every single part of this will be subjective if you don't put some kind of parameters on this thing that you actually have to win something to get a bye.
Well, okay.
Win something.
What if you what if you have 1 loss and you're, I don't know, say Georgia, and you have 1 loss? You're telling me they shouldn't have been, a top 4 team this year?
They didn't. They weren't.
And it was a mistake.
They lost to Alabama.
And I think after the Final Four, we're like, oh man, Georgia probably should have been there. They could have rolled a bunch of teams.
Well, maybe, but that's also because FSU didn't show up. No one showed up to the bowl game, basically, and so it was a joke.
Well, it's also 2-time defending champion on the verge of their 3rd with pros all over the field.
Okay, so here's the thing. If in this case, then Georgia would get the 5 seed. They get to play the 12 seed. I mean, that's not a ridiculous path.
But there are going to be years where you're going to have a 1-loss SEC team, or even possibly an undefeated. Well, I guess you can't have an undefeated.
Not undefeated.
Because there's still conference. You're going to have a 1-loss Georgia team who's going to be the 5 seed and a 3-loss ACC team or something ridiculous. And you're going to be like, why is this team getting a bye? We don't need that artificial guideline because people are smart enough to figure this out. At least they should be. And at a certain point, it's going to become subjective anyway. We're talking about this 12 teams. You can't make it all foolproof. It's not even, for me, a lot of people are mad about Notre Dame because it could either force them to be in a conference. And I understand that. But it's not just that, too. I think you should honor the Big Ten and the SEC, and specifically the SEC. If they have the 4 best teams, then boom, put them 1 through 4.
Yeah, I like the fact that not only do you get something to play for with the conferences, again, as long as we still have 4, we had 5 until 18 months ago, and now we have 4 because the Pac-12 disintegrated. And then I love the fact that you get 1 group of 5 champion, most likely, because let's throw a little of what we love about the NCAA tournament on the men's and women's basketball side and get a little Cinderella here. You know, you would get a Liberty in. Let's get someone in here where you get some fresh blood. And I'd love the idea that they would have a shot at being the David versus Goliath. Okay,
kind of like TCU Georgia.
Well, TCU Georgia, but I want to talk about TCU Michigan.
I know.
That was a great
low-hanging
game.
fruit always. I just don't ever want to see that game again.
Listen,
that was a bit of a one-off.
But if you're TCU, who by the way would not be a group of 5, but they got to the finals. If they were going to win 3 games to get to the finals, then they would have deserved to be there. Okay, we're talking about the new college football playoff model. It's a 5+7, so that's 5 conference champions plus 7 at-large bids. I like the formula. Perloff doesn't. Let's talk about Notre Dame for a minute, because people are split on how this impacts Notre Dame. Just FYI, the athletic director for Notre Dame is on this committee that just approved this. So Notre Dame's not getting screwed. They're not getting, they have a seat at the table. They have already admitted, and they said okay, with never being a top 4 seed and never getting a bye because they don't belong to a conference, so they would never be a conference champion. However, they also only play 12 games. So you get 12 games, then you would get a bye when your opponents would have to play a conference champion. Then you would have to play 3 games or 4 games, I guess, to win the whole thing if you get that far. So you'd be like, what, the 5 seed? You play the 12? It's a pretty good, shot that you're going to be getting at least to the semifinals. If you're
I don't know. It feels like an unnecessary penalty. Who cares if Notre Dame's a conference? I just think the conferences we grew up with and know, they don't really exist in the same way. They've kind of shown themselves as these selfish entities that are just out for survival at this point. And who knows how long this current format of conferences is even going to last. This might be a moot point.
That's true.
I just think that now you're putting all this pressure to put Notre Dame into a conference. It feels unnecessary to me.
I don't think they feel this way because they only play 12 games as opposed to the 13 you would have to play to be a conference champion. And listen, you're going to tell me that if Notre Dame wins 10 games, they're not getting in. They're definitely getting in. They wanted 1 more at-large bid, which is what they got.
I think you're underestimating what that bye would mean to Notre Dame. And I just think we're adults. We can figure this out. We do not need this sort of rule. And the thing with college football, whenever they put in strict rules, it always ends up biting them.
Right.
Generally, I think the less guidelines, the better. Just make 12 teams, because you saw what happened this year. They kept Florida State out undefeated, and everybody killed them. I think if there was just less structure, it'd be better.
Okay, but think about it. You thought Florida State should have been in.
Yeah.
Okay. Under this model, they would.
Well, I understand. I love 12 teams. I'm all for that.
No, under the 5-12.
Right.
5-7, excuse me.
I'm just saying, generally, though, they'll have been the 5 highest ranked, right? So, okay. So Michigan. Wait, would they have been in? Michigan?
Yes.
Washington.
They would have been the 5th seed because it was Michigan,
Washington,
but
Texas,
it was 5-4.
Alabama. It would have been the 4 highest ranked conference champions would have had the 1 through 4. So they would have they would have had to play somebody in the first round. Right. My point
5-12.
is nothing would have changed. They would not have made the first 4. Generally, though, the committee said they're arguing we know they're undefeated, but they're not the best team. So basically, the committee said there is no history, nothing matters, conference championships don't matter, none of that matters. We're just going to decide what's the best matchup, and that's not ideal. But let's face it, that's kind of how adults should do this. I think.
But they blew it with FSU.
I think they made the wrong decision.
You're the one who said that they did blow it.
I agree. I think they made the wrong decision, But having a strict guideline is going to cause some real problems. Like, say the ACC has a really off year, and we get a 8-3 North Carolina team, or whatever. Or, sorry, 9-3 North Carolina team is the 4 seed, and a 1-loss Georgia team is a 5. It's just going to look bad.
Well, it might not work out that way. So let's take 2020, for example. We're talking again about the new college football playoff model. It's a 5+7, 5 conference champions plus 7 at-large bids. You had Cincinnati from the American that went undefeated and got in the top 4. So they would be, even though they're a group of 5, they would be in the top 4 and get a bye. And it was Pitt, who had lost 2 games but was the ACC champion. And they would have been the 5th, or they would have been the 12th probably, or wherever they would have been. They would have gotten in as a conference champion, but they wouldn't have been in a top 4. So it's going to work itself out. I love this.
You don't think there's going to be a problem almost immediately?
What's going to be the problem?
That you're going to have a crappy 4 seed?
You know what? I'm not that concerned about it because I do want to, again, keep the integrity of winning a conference champion. And if you're the first team like out or screwed or whatever, you get the 5th seed and you get to host a game against the 12 seed. Yeah. So it's not like you're getting so punished and so penalized. You're probably going to be a significant favorite on your home floor, or in your home stadium rather, against the 12 seed.
You have to play another game, injury risk. And generally, we know the bye is very effective in the NFL. I think a bye is a huge advantage in college football because there aren't as many games. So it's a long season for young players. I think maybe you're underestimating the power of that bye. I think it's going to make a big deal.
Well, it's not an NFL schedule, though, where you have to turn around and play a Sunday and then a Monday night or something like that. You're going to get a lot of time off. You're going to get multiple weeks off before the playoffs.
The other thing that is hanging over that we have to talk about at some point, this is a lot of games for young men and NFL draft prospects.
You want to talk about that? Go ahead.
I just worry that if you're, say, a running back or somebody who's going to the NFL draft and you're the 5 seed, that means you're going to play. Help me out with the math here. How many games are you
4 to win.
4 to win. That's 4 extra games of wear and tear. And you're looking at your first NFL contract. Now, you're getting NIL money, so it's way better than it used to be.
Sure.
But I do think that there's going to be some business decisions. And I got to be honest, I would be, especially at one of those high-impact positions like running back, I'd be tempted to make a business decision. Is it really worth it to go into that playoff mix if you're looking at an NFL career?
Well, let's play this out. If you are someone, say you're a potential first-round pick, but you're also playing for a great team that has a shot to win the title.
Yeah.
You're playing 2 more games. Because you already would have played in the old model, the conference championship game, then you'd be in the final 4, so you play the semifinal and the final. Now you'd have to just play a first round. Well, you get a bye, then it's just 3 games to win the title.
Well, you could be a great team and not get that bye. You could be Georgia this year, who has all sorts of NFL draft prospects.
You could, and so but you'd end up playing again like 2 more games than you would have.
Yeah.
So than you would have a year ago. I don't think guys are going to opt out of this. I think that's one of the reasons why you go to a 12-team playoff as opposed to all the somewhat meaningless bowls that existed and everyone opted out. When you make the final 12, I think the expectation is you got to play.
Well, of course. I mean, I think the expectation in the bowl game, a lot of teams expect their players to play, but now nobody plays. I think someone's going to opt out. I just think it's going to happen.
Even if you're a top, say you're the 7 seed.
At that point of the year, a lot of guys have minor injuries too. And if you're a real hot NFL prospect who's got, say, an ankle issue, it's just you sprained your ankle halfway through the season, it's a lot of wear and tear to play those extra games. I think the glory is obviously huge and you're getting NIL money, but I just think the reality is there are going to be some business decisions.
Wow. You still think there's going to be opt-outs? I think this guards against the opt-outs.
Well, there's not going to be nearly as many opt-outs. If you're the 13 seed, you're not showing up for the bowl game. You're not showing up for the bowl game. Yeah, sorry, whatever bowl game. I don't even know the names of the bowl games anymore. You're out. But I'll bet you, show bet that at least 1 or 2 big players opt out.
Okay, well, if you're actually hurt, then I get it.
But it's football. Everybody's hurt.
Well, I mean, if you actually missed games during the season, you're so hurt that you missed games that counted.
Yeah,
I don't think you're. Then maybe you opt out, but
half the team.
Well, is it though?
I mean, a lot of guys miss some time.
If that does happen, and I'm not saying it's completely out of the realm of possibility, but if we do see a top player, a top 10 pick potentially, who's in the playoffs, drop out of the playoffs so he can get ready for the NFL draft, the amount of questions that player's character is going to have is going to be massive.
But we never questioned any player for skipping a bowl game. At first, 10 years ago, when it first started happening, everyone's like, "Oh my God, the NFL's not going to like that," and then it became completely acceptable.
But the big difference though is those guys aren't playing for a championship.
It's just an exhibition.
It will be a situation where a guy has a chance to win a championship with his team, and he's electing to go out for himself. Now, look, you can go into business for yourself. Like you got millions of dollars coming to you from the NFL. More power to you, I guess. But I'm just saying that is going to be probably the top story in sports the day that happens, and I'm curious if it will happen.
Well, let's say it was this. Say we had this system in last year, and Oregon is like the 8th seed, and Bo Nix is like, you know what? Nah, I'm not playing this 8-9 matchup against Mizzou.
Well, Bo Nix even played in his bowl game, so I don't.
No, I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I'm not giving you a top 4, but I'm giving you somebody who's likely going to be a first-round pick. Where this...
Well, that's it. Quarterback's a little different, but also quarterbacks should be able to get through a game without getting, mauled. Hopefully, if his offensive line is good enough. But we'll see. I just tell you, a wide receiver with a little tweak, a running back, there's going to be somebody who's going to say, you know what, I'm not going to make that decision.
Okay, let's say if it was number 7, Ohio State, and it was Maserati himself. I don't think he's sitting out. And if he did, I don't know if people are going to question his character or whatever. I doubt it because we are a lot smarter about this stuff now. But still, I can't imagine him doing it.
How about Ibuka, who sat out? I mean, he's coming back to Ohio State, but he sat out a ton of time. Is he coming back for that?
He was actually injured.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
But he healed, though. I think he came back in the last game, didn't he? So I just think, just watch. I'm telling you, there's going to be some guys who are like, well, I don't really need to be in this thing.
I see what's going on here. I understand why Perloff is interested in the guys who are playing hurt because he himself is also playing hurt today.
I would not play in the Final 12.
I don't know if you'd make it. You're limping around here. We'll get to what happened when Perloff was on a little mini vacation. 855-212-4CBS. You are welcome to weigh in on this college football playoff model. Again, it's the 5+7. 5 conference champions and 7 at-large bids. Perloff does not like it. He said, just rank them. We can do this.
Yeah.
Just rank them. I like it. I like that there's something to play for your conference championship.
I like that I'm going to have Notre Dame fans on my side. Let's go. Irish. Bring it on. It's a big fan base, Maggie. I got a lot of support. I got an automatic bid on the fan support with Notre Dame.
Touchdown Jesus 1, Andrew Perloff number 2. Notre Dame fans.
Yeah.
Gonna get the tattoo with
I don't
Fighting
know
Irish.
You want to you want to go against us Notre Dame fans, Maggie.
Can I get you a Notre Dame calf tattoo? Can I interest you in that? The people who can't find South Bend on a map. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, so much to do. We'll get Perloff's, injury update status next. We also have some major NFL quarterback stuff to get to. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. I have a major injury, which I will tell you about in a second. But first, I have to give you, Maggie Gray, and you, Andrew Bogus, who is back from vacation, in for update, a ethical dilemma from last night with my wife that I'm dying to know what you guys would do.
Whoa.
No, it's not like
my
that.
wife. Wait, can I get to Kevin in San Antonio first about the college football playoff, or this can't wait?
Well, I want to hear Kevin's. Just real quick, let me do this because it's related to the college football playoff.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in a sense. Last night, we were staying at this resort, and it's like, what's the movie, Don't Put Baby in the Corner, Dirty Dancing?
Yeah.
It's an all-inclusive resort. I guess it's getting weirder and weirder. You do these activities. So last night, there was an air hockey tournament where everybody staying at the resort could compete in air hockey.
Okay.
So it turned out my wife, to entertain the kids, took them down to the air hockey. I wasn't there. I was back in New York. My wife entered the air hockey tournament. She played an adult, and she won. Her next matchup was against a 5-year-old kid. And this is air hockey. And
Who did the seating on this tournament?
the 5-year-old slaughtered her.
What?
It's air hockey. It's
Wait.
all the young people. The next matchup was another.
Wait, hold on. Was she trying against a 5-year-old?
She was trying. She was totally trying. But, air hockey's a random sport.
Yeah,
Analytics.
Yeah, analytics. The next, so the losers round, she played another 5-year-old kid who wasn't as good.
Losers bracket?
Yeah. loser.
What did these kids have to
Double
go to
elimination?
bed?
What's going on?
So she's playing another 5-year-old in air hockey. The first First goal goes to her, and then he scores on himself, and it's 2-0 Sarah, my wife, over the 5-year-old. All of a sudden, the 5-year-old's mom stands right behind the 5-year-old and says, "Can you believe this lady is beating you in air hockey?" and stares at my wife in front of everybody. There's a crowd around now. It gives her a death stare and says, you better let my kid win. So my wife is totally embarrassed in front of everybody. She's trying really hard to let the kid win in air hockey. She has to self-score 3 goals in air hockey to lose this match to 5-year-old. Now, the other mother is in the wrong, right? If you're going to enter an air hockey tournament, you better bring it. You can't stand behind him and say, I can't believe this adult is letting you win.
First of all, like air hockey, like have you seen 5-year-olds on sugar? Air hockey, that's like Duke and North Carolina in the NCAA tournament. They're the powerhouses, okay?
Yeah, I know.
I know. My kid does love air hockey. He's 4.5. He is surprisingly good at it, but he scores on himself all the time. That's part of playing air hockey.
I know. But what if you were in this position? If you're going to enter an air hockey tournament, she lost legitimately to another 5-year-old, so she had to bring her A game. She never knew it was going to happen. But this mother, and she said, I ended up seeing her every event the rest of the night. I got in line for free milkshakes or something, and she was there staring at her all night long, like she was some evil lady. My wife was in the right?
Absolutely. These are the helicopter parents, I think, that people get upset about in today's society. And I'm not saying that I'm letting my kid walk alone at midnight, but you can't these are the parents who intervene when kids are in the sandbox or other things like when kids are fighting over a toy. I believe you have to let kids kind of stand on their own 2 feet unless they're really in danger, and then the parents have to come in. But this is problem solving. That kid had to stand in there and lose to your wife.
And the connection, obviously, to college football, that kid is Liberty in the next year's college football playoff. Or he's an 8-3 North Carolina team that got the 4 seed over an unbeatable Georgia team. So that's my connection to college football. That 5-year-old is this kid who gets gifted into the playoff.
Well, I don't think you have, the ESPN executive standing behind, you better let Liberty win.
I think that's the TV equivalent of that.
Well, I'd also make the connection that it sounds like the CFP Board of Managers is also designing that bracket, too, because how do you have a loser's bracket but then not a kid's bracket? Why are we even putting 5-year-olds? That's like putting the SWAC champion in this top 12. What are we doing?
They didn't have enough people to make a whole bracket.
You had 2 5-year-olds. That's the 5-year-old championship. Done.
Yeah, exactly.
BCS, baby.
You want to enter it, you got to deal with the consequences. That's it.
It's like when they put Boise and TCU in that same bowl game over and over again before we let them at the big table. There's 2 5-year-olds. They play each other. There's a 5-year-old champ. No problem. Then angry moms are not yelling at your wife.
It's more like weight classes at this point. It's not, you need to have the 5-year-old weight class and then the adult weight class.
I had to deal with it. When I wrestled in middle school, I did wrestle in middle school.
Yeah.
I was in the
WWE style or like Greco-Roman?
No, Greco-Roman. Okay. I was horrible. I lost all the time, but I would lose on points. I wrestled on the
against the spread, if you will.
Right. I wrestled on the lower end of a weight class once, and this giant man, who's probably a ringer, was standing right across the circle from me. I took a dive.
Whoa.
I fell on the mat. I was like, "Oh, I can't get up." I wasn't going to lose my my life over some amateur wrestling match. So yeah.
Wait, what did we learn from that? You took a dive.
Take a dive. That's it.
So you thought that Sarah Perloff's wife should have taken a dive?
A dive.
Oh, my wife should have taken a dive.
Yes.
Well, she did. She was
did take a
intimidated
dive.
by the other mother, who was in this case the ringer that was brought in to wrestle Pete Middle School.
Related question: do you let your kids win in board games? That's a parent dilemma.
Not
anymore.
I don't let kids win in anything.
Depends upon the board.
I'm crushing
game.
them in everything.
EJ, you don't have a
You
kid
don't
yet.
have kids
No,
yet.
Things change. A crying kid will change your mind on that
No,
one.
I got young fellas that I would consider like borderline nephews.
Yeah.
My young nephew, what's the name? Like I would
Whatever his name is.
like I would know. Like we
Super
play
close.
video games and stuff. I crush them.
Beating your nephew is different than your kid. All you want is your kid to stop crying and go to sleep. And anything that helps achieve that, you will do.
My kid establishes that rule before I could even say anything. So he will determine whether.
Look, I played young Thomas in Mario Kart too often and beat, and he crushed him every time, and he's fine. He's 6 years old.
I know his parents have to clean up the mess later.
Right. Yeah. You go home and they're up all night with him heartbroken.
So I don't let my kid win, but I do let my kid cheat sometimes. So that is
great. That's better, I guess.
Yeah.
Teaching.
Sometimes where you have to do the spinner games, where you get to flick the spinner. And sometimes to the last one, he'll put it right to the color that he needs. And once in a while, I'll just let him get away with it, especially if we need to go to bed.
Cheating in the game of life. That's very ironic.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
What did we learn here?
That college football is courting danger by having these subjective rules
Wait,
for their
how
Final
did your
12.
wife feel about having to take a dive against a 5-year-old in an air hockey
She was
tournament?
miserable all night because she got embarrassed by this other mother. Can you believe this lady is beating you in air hockey? You know what?
And of course, the rest of the night they were the same line. That's just the way the world
I'd
works.
be like, I'll meet you in the alley.
My wife,
That's where I'm going to run into you next.
That kid definitely had to do leg lifts afterwards.
you know what's funny? My wife goes, this woman didn't even weigh that much. She was kind of short. I could have taken her. I'm like,
There you go. I
like,
love it.
Sarah. Yeah, my wife's not a fighter.
No, she's a lover. Here's the thing. Is there anything more insufferable than other parents?
The worst.
The worst.
That's and you're talking youth sports, especially.
And you're bad, they're bad, the diehards are bad, the people who don't care are bad.
Take a
We're
hike.
all bad. None of us are doing this right.
And apparently, the organizer of the air hockey tournament did not get it right. I think this.
Thanks, Bill
college
Hancock.
football. I think Bill Hancock online. He actually designed this tournament.
All right, well, let's get to Kevin is in San Antonio, wants to weigh in on the actual news about the actual college football playoff. They're going to the 5+7 model, 5 conference champions, 7 at-large bids. May lead to a lot of brawls. Kevin, how are you?
I'm listening to your conversation. It is so funny. It is so funny.
Poor Mrs.
But
Perloff.
what I'm thinking is this. In the NCAA tournament, the basketball tournament, they added teams and stuff, unknown schools. They put them in there. Sometimes they made it. But the only school that really got far was George Mason.
Yeah.
They went through, and they was not even hardly ranked. But the football, it's like clay. They gonna have to figure it out. Who gonna be number one? This all started back in the '80s when Miami was just undefeated, number one. That's where it started. It started right there.
Well, Kevin, fair. I mean, we can debate about that. The George Mason thing and having the Cinderellas, and we've had a few more since then. And this past Final Four, speaking of Miami, was in it. The Hurricanes, FAU. Who else was in it? FAU.
San Diego State.
San Diego State, thank you. And then
Miami,
UConn,
and UConn, who obviously won it. I think this is cool. I like having one of the group of 5 champions in there. Would have been Liberty last year. Give me a Tulane. Give me a Liberty. Give me a Cincinnati. Give me somebody. Oh, I'm sorry, Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. Give me somebody, though.
It's just easier in college basketball because you have 68 spots to mess with.
Yeah.
So we've had 4 number 11 seeds: George Mason, VCU, Loyola Chicago, and 1986 LSU. Let's face it, they haven't really changed the shape of the Final Four with these 11 seeds.
But I like that, right? Because you're keeping the integrity of the powerhouses still get to be the powerhouses, and then every once in a while you get an all-time story that we'll remember forever.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I feel like because college football, we're going to be hating everything they do come December. That's just what happens. We don't know unintended. They're even worse than the NFL at unintended consequences. I just think that they're courting danger by having these strict rules.
Let's get to Andrew Bogish, who's looking relaxed, tanned,
Exhausted.
I mean, are you like sweating out tequila after 4 days in Mexico?
Yeah. Yesterday was tough. Didn't have a nice breakfast buffet. Didn't have a tequila sunrise at 9:30 on the beach. It's tough.
That's what the Allman Brothers will do to you.
This is reacclimating back to regular life after your 4 days in Mexico. Is tough.
Yeah, I have a figurative broken knee, unlike a real messed up knee.
I know we have to get to Perloff's injury. T's and P's for you, though, Bogish.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. 2 adults are now facing second-degree murder charges for their alleged roles in the Chiefs parade shooting last week. Police say Dominic Miller and Lindell Mays among strangers arguing, and then Mays pulled out his gun and fired the first shot. It was also Mays' gun that allegedly fired the shot that killed Lisa Lopez Galvan. Both Miller and Mays have been in the hospital since the shooting. Police say more charges and more people being charged are coming. Now, yesterday's decision on picking the teams for the expanded CFP bracket, not the only news involving Notre Dame yesterday, the school confirming it will be part of the EA Sports college football game returning this summer. Notre Dame and EA had been discussing this for years, apparently, since the school wasn't always sure about paying players for name, image, and likeness.
This is so awesome.
EJ just fist bumped.
Of course he did.
I'm so excited. This is like Christmas coming early, okay?
So you can play with Notre Dame on your video game?
Yes.
Okay.
EA Sports college football has been away for, a decade?
Yeah.
And now I'll get to come back, bring Miami back to its dynasty relevance that I've been waiting for this whole time because it ain't going to happen in real life. I
Not
cannot
with
wait.
Mario Cristobal not taking knees.
I can crush Notre Dame, the real Notre Dame school in college football, in the game. This is amazing. Best news I've heard all year.
Do you have to pay NIL to your Miami team in a video game?
I hope so, because the last time you had to create a team, they had all the stuff that works with it. You got to start your freshman, or else he's going to transfer all that stuff. Yes, I want to see NIL money, transfer portal, put it all in the game. I cannot wait.
I love
Get your
this.
life wallet ready.
What was the fake name for Notre Dame in these video games?
Well, they were in it before, so the problem was now that the NCAA isn't a part of it. They thought that Notre Dame may be able to skirt the system because they're not a part of any conference.
They probably call him like St. Cyril's or something.
St. Elmo's.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds was John Dowd, I think, because he wasn't in the Players Union, so he couldn't be in the baseball video games.
Michael Jordan was roster player on NBA Live.
Yeah. And Bill Belichick still has never been in Madden.
I know.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. He would never let Madden use. So the Patriot head coach is always a random dude. I forget what his name was. Yep.
Pete
Never
Carroll.
Belichick.
Stephen Belichick.
He's got a mullet and everything.
Let's do some college hoops now and a loss for number one.
And ladies and gentlemen, as Ash, a steal by Bello. And this is it. It's a career achievement unlocked. A first ever win versus number one. A career achievement unlocked. The 600th Jays win for Greg McDermott. And the students mop the floor.
There's a lot going on there. John Bishop, the Creighton Blue Jays
No engineer,
basketball
though.
radio network.
I mean, it's Creighton. It's not the North Pole.
Yeah.
How can you not ride the levels, dude?
Hasn't Creighton been a perennial top 10 team for a little while now?
Yep. They're 15 in the country right now. They get an 85-66 beating of top-ranked UConn. First time in 7 tries the program beats number one.
Sorry, that live call was like an assault on my ears. We're all going to have tinnitus in like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Thanks, Creighton.
Dan Hurley's Huskies barely had a chance last night.
We did a bad job coaching tonight. Our players did a bad job playing. I did a bad job coaching. Yeah, and your huddles aren't going to be super energized when you haven't lost in 2+ months.
The Huskies' 14-game win streak is over. So number 18, St. Mary's, now has the nation's longest active streak. It's now at 14 games after holding off San Francisco last night, 70-66. The Gales remain the lone team still unbeaten in its conference. Not sure what clothes Chet Holmgren endorses, but it surely ain't Louis Vuitton. The French company has partnered with French superstar Victor Wembanyama, and there is now a huge billboard of Wemby in Louis Vuitton gear in San Antonio, which is now the official backup plan for Perloff when he drives to San Antonio to apologize for Wemby, saying he wouldn't win Rookie of the Year. Getting to the actual person might be an issue. So I'd be okay if you were down on 2 knees, bowing, asking for forgiveness to the billboard of Victor Wembanyama.
Wait, I saw there was a development in the Victor Wembanyama bet when I was away Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, so, there's new developments all the time because now we got the billboard, which is weird. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan Wings poster that everyone
Wings
had.
fans.
Yeah.
And it's just him and the Louis Vuitton. Also, is Louis Vuitton a popular brand in San Antonio? Do people wear a lot of Louis Vuitton there? There's got to be a lot of money in San Antonio. But anyway, so...
There's got to be a few purses, right?
Oh, yeah.
Around San Antonio?
Sure. So here's my question now about the Louis Vuitton bet. Pardon me. What about adding this to the stakes? Wemby wins Rookie of the Year. Perloff has to drive from New York to San Antonio to apologize.
Yeah. Alone.
Sure. Alone or maybe with Bogish and
No maybe.
Pierre Schwartz and Bellotti And maybe EJ?
No, I'm not coming.
No,
And
Maria,
Andrea
Mary?
from the Bay
Andrea,
Area.
right.
Andrea.
If she, by the way, we need her consent. But I think she'd be down.
Well, she has to navigate us with the stars.
Right,
in
right.
case the
The whole
GPS
trip.
No
goes
maps.
down. The GPS goes down.
You only get to go by the stars like Leif Erikson.
Make a left in Orion's belt.
Zeus says go straight.
So I thought you should add to it. You also only are allowed to eat French food for a week.
Why are we adding to anything?
Because it's fun. But then Judy Batista,
Yeah.
our friend from NFL Network, who's dynamite and we love her, says that sounds like not much of a. That sounds great. Eat French food for a week.
It
So what
does.
about just foie gras 3 times a day?
Foie gras is tough,
That's
but it's
gross.
also like real foie gras is expensive, and I can't. Where am I going to get French food for a week en route to San Antonio?
Well, you're making all these big stops through Chicago, Nashville. You'll be able to find some foie gras there.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to find French food, but why are we adding to this? I made a stupid bet to start with. I don't understand. What do I get in return if he doesn't win? That's the other thing. This is a one-sided bet.
Yeah.
You can't just add on punishments for no reason.
You're the
Yes,
one
we
who
can.
said, I'll drive to San Antonio if he wins Rookie of the Year.
And I thought that was penalty enough.
Well, now we're adding things.
Excuse me, sir, in wherever Illinois, do you have croque monsieur?
Yeah, finding French food along your route might be tough. I don't
I
think
mean,
the
French
Waffle
food-
House has anything that's
You know,
French.
I'm not a French food guy. I'd rather have to eat Tex-Mex everywhere. That would be an
probably
interesting
fine.
ride. No,
Then no one's definitely going to do.
no, it's going with me.
That's it. Yeah, Tex-Mex the whole trip.
What about the flip side? What if you did like a pseudo hunger strike on the Wemby billboard
Yeah.
in San Antonio until the voting was over? You got to stay up there, and you can only come down if he loses Rookie of the Year.
Oh, you have to climb up to the top of the billboard and hang out?
What?
This sounds like the 1920s.
What are you talking about?
I was going to say you'd have to buy something Louis Vuitton, but that's also. that's
Oh,
tough.
I could buy fake Louis Vuitton down at Canal Street easy.
Yeah, you could. Louis Vuitton. It's a little different with your
It's like my daughter's
with your
fake.
Rolex watch.
My daughter's fake Jordans work just fine.
Oh gosh, that's
Jordan doesn't have 2 J's.
2 D's.
Yes.
You got the Michael B. Jordans, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Michael Jordans.
Hey, you know what? For a girl whose feet are still growing, that's just fine with me, EJ. I'm fine with the extra, whatever they're doing in China to send me those fake Jordans. I appreciate it.
New style.
Anything else, folks?
Yeah, we're a month away from the Dodgers and Padres opening a new baseball season in South Korea. LA manager Dave Roberts said yesterday it's a safe bet that Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow start those 2 games against San Antonio with, of course, Shohei Ohtani at the DH spot.
Who else is going to start those 2 games?
Well, they have other pitchers.
Yeah, but
They
come
already
on.
had a bunch of all-stars before those guys got there.
Right.
Man, I can't imagine you're going to go all the way to South Korea to play 2 games and then come back. You can't even at least make it a 4-game set. Get your money's worth.
By the way, I'm trying to decide which annoys Bilotti more, the fact that it's in South Korea or the fact that the Dodgers have bought this staff, or both.
Well, both. Both very equally. We don't need to be playing games over there. Sorry. Play in the United States, that's it. Leave me alone.
I know there's definitely not enough baseball games during the season. We
No,
can't
I just-
sacrifice a few.
Why do we have to go to all these places to play baseball? Really, just play in your regular ballpark. You build all these ballparks. We're paying $15 for beer. Why don't you play in the ballpark?
Wait, Pete, I'm going to London. I'm going to London this summer to watch the Mets. Now, you telling me I can't have this experience?
No, you cannot.
Oh, come on, man.
You're going to London to watch the Mets?
Yeah, to see them crush your Phillies, by the way.
Save yourself and go to a soccer match. Do not go to a stupid Mets game in London.
Now, if the Mets crush the Phillies, I'm going to come in just
They
stunning.
won't.
EJ's going to be talking with a British accent
Yes.
for a month.
The Mets
crush
your
your
Please
accent
don't,
there.
though.
Wait, so I'm sorry, I'm naive. They're playing baseball in London?
They've
Yeah.
been doing this for like 5 years
Yeah.
now.
Tell me about
Yes. And now the
Remember
Mets
Red
are
Sox,
going,
Yankees
and,
there?
and my girlfriend got me tickets.
Not
so
really.
We're gonna see the Mets go out there and smack around the Phillies for a couple of games.
I don't know what game you're going to watch. That's not happening.
Well, the bad part is if they do knock them around, it will mean nothing when they
Well,
get back
right.
here.
It'll be after a 6-game losing streak or before a 6-game losing streak.
It's fine.
it won't
They're
really
using,
matter.
they're using the metric system over there. It's going to be a different way to calculate things.
Oh, they swept the series in London. No, they came back and lost 10 of 12.
Yeah, that would happen. 855-212. Bogush, thank you. 855-212 for CBS. Coming up, we've got one Pro Bowl quarterback on the move. Get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Stuff to get to Perloff's injuries. Limping around here like you're a mummy.
Oh, like a mummy. Gosh, this is terrible. It's affecting everything.
Oh, man. Get to that in a second. Vols in Texas, though, wants to weigh in on something that's bothering him about the Dallas Cowboys lately. Vol, what's on your mind, pal?
When I was listening to you guys this morning, concerned about playing the game or anything. Like, for example, like last year, I was expecting that really the Cowboys going to beat the Green Bay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I'm Eagles fans.
Oh.
And trust me, the thing is, if it was not a lot of issue going on with Eagles, I believe that we should have been in that Super Bowl back-to-back again. And then, Cowboys, since I moved to Dallas 10 years ago, they're still giving excuses. So what I'm trying to say here, the quarterback is not playing to get the trophy. I think he's playing to make the money because
I think this is a Dak Prescott issue. Vol, what's interesting? Thank you for the phone call. First of all, Philadelphia Eagle fan living in Dallas for the last 10 years. That's got to be a challenge. But secondly, is it all on Dak Prescott? EJ and I talked about this yesterday, Perloff, and I'd love to get your thoughts. The idea that Micah Parsons, who got called out by Bart Scott recently, said he needs to go to leadership school. He's too sensitive. He's responding to everything. But EJ didn't believe, and EJ, I'll speak for you, didn't believe that your pass rusher can be your leader. Like, if your pass rusher is your leader, you have a problem. I like Micah Parsons actually trying to stand out here and say, this is wrong. We've got to change this. I don't mind him being vocal about it. Where do you fall?
I see what you're saying. I don't mind it either, but I don't think this is a leadership. Everyone says that Dak is what Vol was saying, that Dak is about the money and he's not a real leader. To me, the problem with this Cowboys team was the run defense this year. And what's that have to do with Dak? You saw the Bills game. They just ran all over him because
your
superstar defensive end is about 6'2", 230 pounds, and he's unblockable, but he's not a force against the run like a Bosa brother. So I think this is a person, again, I come back, I just don't think the Cowboys are that good. I don't think it's a leadership problem. I think it's a talent problem. So to me, whether it's Parsons or Dak, I just think you're not a complete team. And that goes back to the way Jerry Jones built the team. So I don't see either of them leadership skills. I kind of agree with you, though, that you can have a non-quarterback be the leader. The Eagles are a great example of that. Jalen Hurts is not a vocal leader. He's more of a quiet leader. And there's all these veterans like Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson who are the leaders. So did EJ say Dak has to be the primary leader? Your quarterback has to be the one leader?
I mean, I think, EJ, you can speak for yourself, but I think it is an indictment. Listen, is it an indictment on Dak? Sure, because it's probably an indictment on every quarterback if you're not the slam dunk leader. And I'm not saying Dak's not, but there's clearly a void here that Micah Parsons is filling. And he's running to the microphone, so I'll give you that. He hasn't met a microphone he didn't like, but that's the type of behavior that's rewarded in Dallas because look at the general manager and the owner. He runs to every microphone. Yes, EJ?
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you look at the great leaders in the NFL today, I'm not finding the pass rusher who people are listening to and rallying around. To me, that's the guy that's pass rushers in the NFL are almost like wide receivers. Like, they're on their own island. They're playing their own game. You just want them to go out there and make plays. So I think a lot of the Cowboys, when they see Micah Parsons run to podcast mics to talk about, culture and things we're not getting wrong, I think they kind of roll their eyes because we're like, dude, whatever.
Well, what if it was TJ Watt? Let me give you an example. Who's obviously the MVP of the Steelers. Is that a different case? Would you buy him at least? I understand your point.
And there are some examples. I mentioned Michael Strahan, Reggie White. It's not like that can't be the guy, but clearly Micah Parsons, he's not those guys. TJ Watt maybe a little bit more like those guys. We had TJ Watt earlier the year say that, they were playing terrible and that there were issues. I just think if you're not getting that kind of vocal leadership from either your quarterback or your head coach or maybe someone who actually is supposed to rally around the defense like a middle linebacker or a safety like a Brian Dawkins or a Ray Lewis, I don't think a lot of the Cowboys guys are listening to Micah Parsons and saying, oh, you know what, Micah Parsons is right. I think they're kind of just rolling their eyes saying, oh, that's Micah again going off on his own tangent like he always does.
But Micah is an all-time player. Micah was compared to Lawrence Taylor just 12 months ago.
It's not necessarily about his talent. I'm talking about, his role on the team. He's not a guy calling defensive signals. He's not a guy who's making adjustments. He's playing his own game.
It's interesting. 855-212-4CBS. You're welcome to weigh in on Micah Parsons' leadership style. He's also still a young guy. He says he's seen everything in the league. He's only been in the league for 3 years. 855-212-4CBS. Meanwhile, Dak's been in the league for almost a decade. Coming up, major news. Major news. Which quarterback just unfollowed his team on social media? Uh-oh. Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Major activity around Justin Fields and his social media, leaving us some breadcrumbs. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie. Great. Andrew Perloff. Perloff is back from his mini vacation. He's banged up. Get that story in just a moment. Playing hurt today. Okay, now Justin Fields, who's at the center of one of the biggest offseason stories, Perloff, that we have in his future, and whether the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams #1 overall and trade Justin Fields away, or are they going to stick with Fields and build around him and trade away that #1 pick? Well, we got a little bit of an update. Now, Eagle Eye fans noticed on Monday that Justin Fields was no longer following the Bears' official Instagram account. Now, what we cannot ascertain, and we have to be fair about this, I don't know if anyone's sure if he ever followed the Bears' official Instagram account.
Oh, wait, are you
can
serious?
only assume that he did, and he also started following Atlanta Falcons players Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. So I think we're savvy enough to know in this day and age, this kind of thing, whether it actually means anything, it's intended to send a message, right? Like, people know and sports stars know that their social media is being followed very, very closely. Now, this all led DraftKings Sportsbook to shift the odds of Fields ending up with the Falcons from +275 to +150. So the social media activity was enough to actually move the market here.
Oh, of course. Also, common sense says that the Bears are going to listen to offers. At least there was a report that they listen to offers at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
Wait, I am totally stunned here. Did I fall for fake news? Is there a chance he never followed the Bears?
Well, they're saying he no longer follows the Bears, but I don't know if you could tell that he actually ever did follow the Bears. Now, here's the thing. I think you get drafted by the team that, you get drafted by a team, you start following them on social media. Like, we follow our company on social media. And we follow each other on social media.
Yeah, well, it was very awkward. I came to this company from Dan Patrick's show, and there were a lot of key players that I did not follow, and I felt really bad about that. Like, not just our boss, everybody down the halls are like with big social media followings. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a Mets fan. I don't follow half of you. Anyway,
how about this? Perloff wasn't following our boss, okay, and for like the first 8 or 9 months. So then he had to figure out, when could I strategically push follow where he wouldn't see the notification.
Yeah,
like, where it would just go under the radar so you could try to get away with it.
There's still somebody in this building who I don't follow, and I actually respond to his tweets because I see them all the time, but I don't want to hit follow because I know it's going to be a big thing.
Who is it?
I can't tell you.
What do you mean?
Because if he finds out, he's going to be like, what?
It's not EJ, is it?
Oh, no, I definitely don't follow
I think
you.
he definitely follows me.
I'm unfollow you. It depends, day by day. Depends if EJ makes me mad with a sports argument. If he talks about Jalen Brunson being the best player in the NBA, unfollow.
Yeah, I'll get constant every 2 weeks a follow from Perloff being like, wait, I thought he followed me already. It's because he already unfollowed me
this
3
is
times.
Like, remember MySpace would have like your top 8 or whatever, your friends? This is Perloff doing that to EJ in real time.
Do you guys find that in your personal life that people have gotten upset with you because you don't follow them on Facebook or something like that?
No, I don't think anyone cares about me enough.
I'm petty. So, yeah.
I've heard a lot of that. Forget any kind of celebrities. Just people like friends not following each other is a big deal.
Okay, meanwhile, Justin Fields not following the Bears, and now the markets are moving because he has started following some of the Atlanta Falcons. Listen, I'm cool with this. I'm great with it. You want to know why? Because I think the Bears are making the right decision here, which is the no-brainer decision, the smart decision. Do not pass on Caleb Williams because you think Justin Fields can be good with a better team around him. Listen, you already have enough draft capital and you have cap space that you can select Caleb Williams and you can still build a good team. Hell, you've already started. Why you kept your coach, that I cannot explain. The Bears are not going to hit they're not going to bat 1,000 here. But passing on Caleb Williams when Justin Fields is not a slam dunk, no doubt franchise quarterback after he's played 40 games for you is malpractice. That is showing your fan base you're okay with being good, not great. You have got to go with Caleb Williams here, Perloff. And so if this is the breadcrumbs and this is the tea leaves of them doing that and executing that plan, then I'm behind it.
Yeah. To me, it's the money. Forget the talent. I think Justin Fields is actually really talented, and I think on a better team and a better system, he could be really good.
Is that every quarterback in the NFL? If you can't say that about every starting quarterback in the NFL, you probably don't deserve to be in the league.
Well, wait till you see Caleb Williams in Chicago in a couple of years, because I do actually. They got Shane Waldron as OC. I like him, but generally, Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. I'd feel much more comfortable if Caleb Williams went to a different team. I think this. I'm a huge Caleb Williams fan. This is not what I want to see. Not at all. I'd rather go indoors somewhere, go to Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell or something. I do think system matters, and you know that. And you know Justin Fields could be better somewhere else.
Okay, but this is the thing about having a guy who people are touting as generational. And I know that we throw that word around quite a bit, but this is the cool thing about having someone like this. This is why I love it. Let's see what this great quarterback can do when you put him in the non-perfect circumstance. It's not like the Bears are totally inept. They've done some good moves here. The Montez Sweat trade was good. The DJ Moore trade was good. Trading down from one because they weren't sold on Bryce Young. Now, listen, could have taken CJ Stroud. Probably would have been good. But listen, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's total morons, nincompoops here running the Bears. So I'm cool with with Caleb Williams going there. And then let's see what the kid can do. Plus, you're going to get a new stadium. So...
yeah, there's just something special about that helmet. Second you put it on a quarterback, they just lose it. I mean, there is so many promising quarterbacks who've gone to Chicago to die. Ask a Bears fan. They are definitely cynical on this. And Caleb seems like the savior, but then again, something always happens to Bears quarterbacks.
Listen.
He'll be good, but I'd much rather, there are other places I'd rather see him play.
The last that I'm reading about the new stadium was from last year, and it says it's going to have a roof.
That stadium has had more ups and downs, and they're worse than the A's.
We'll be playing in the middle of Caesar's Palace like the A's pretty soon.
When is that stadium supposed to open?
Great question.
I just think...
I don't think the city even knows.
I don't know. I know they own the land now.
It's supposed to be 28, but I don't know if it's going to get there.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little cynical. Matt Eberflus is a coach. They probably shouldn't have brought him back. Yes, Montez Sweat is awesome, and that trade worked out despite everyone saying it wasn't going to work out. I just think that Chicago is not my ideal landing spot for Caleb Williams. And even though the camp said, hey, we're fine with Chicago, Caleb Williams doesn't want to go there, regardless of what he says publicly.
Listen, he's not going to pull an Eli Manning, and he's going to go there.
Yeah.
And you are building something where a rookie quarterback fits perfectly with your timeline.
Yeah, you might have said the same thing about Mitch Trubisky. I mean, there's something about the Bears. It's tough. I love Caleb Williams. I think he's clearly the number one pick, just like you do. But I'm not going to pencil the Bears into the playoffs this year because they get Caleb Williams. I think they'd be probably better next year with Justin Fields.
Well, next year. Okay,
next year.
But that's being short-sighted because Justin Fields obviously has experience now in the NFL. But Caleb Williams comes to the league with a lot of experience. Like, that's the cool thing about this quarterback class in general, where Caleb Williams and Drake May are 1 and 1A, and then we'll see about Jaden Daniels. Okay, well, we can talk about that for a while. But
you could do Drake May versus Jaden Daniels all day long.
We can do that, and I'm sure we will. But this is Caleb Williams who's coming in with tons of experience playing in college, right? I mean, this is a guy we've seen him. This is less of a projection than a lot of others. Yes, how's he going to fit specifically in Chicago? All right, they still have team building to do. Newsflash, they still have team building to do in Washington, and they still have team building to do in New England and all the other teams that are picking near the top. I'd much rather see him go to Chicago than go to New England. What the hell's going to happen there?
I'm not sure I agree with that. I do think that New England's kind of got a clean slate. Washington's got a clean slate. Chicago obviously does not expect to fall off as much as those two teams because of the way they got that number one pick was not by being awful. It was by fleecing
trading.
the Panthers.
Yep. This is not a bad team.
No, this is is
to.
arguably a much better situation. There's history and there's a coaching staff, which I just don't know about.
Coaching staffs you can change, though. See, that's the thing. I didn't love what they did with keeping Eberflus, and you fire everyone else, essentially, like your entire offensive staff. Okay, fine. But go the full way. Do the clean slate thing. But I'm less concerned about that because you can always fire a head coach.
Yeah, but
I hate to say it like that, but they are hired to be fired in the NFL.
But I think ideally you want a Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid marriage, something where the guy comes in and starts learning a system and goes for it. You don't want two different coordinators in their first 2 years. That's how you set up for failure. So I wonder how long this coaching staff's going to be here. I just can't get over the fact that Jay Cutler is the best quarterback they've had in 50 years. And even Jim McMahon, if you look at the stats, were great. Maybe it's stupid to think that way, and eventually teams change. But I just can't see this being a high-flying offense. And who are your receivers? You got DJ Moore, who's really good. But I still think that you're thin on weapons. I love Caleb Williams. I don't know about this deal. And that being said, I would do the trade as well. But I'll bet you if Justin Fields goes to Atlanta, Justin Fields is he's top 3 athletes at quarterback. I mean, there's nobody who runs like Justin Fields except Lamar. Once he gets in the open field, I've seen him outrun every position on the defense, and that's rare. And the thing about him, he just will not get rid of the ball, but he's so young that he could easily learn. He's not that much older than any of these guys in the draft.
Okay, but I'm going to give you Caleb Williams. Maybe can't run like Justin Fields, but he can run. He can move around. He's got the awesome arm strength. He's got the awareness, and he's great after the snap. Justin Fields still has a lot of work to do, and we're 40 games in. So I'm not saying Justin Fields can't have a great career. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying you can't afford to pass on Caleb Williams because of what you've seen already from Fields.
But to Perloff's point, though, when we think about NFC North football, and I know the 2 games you'll play will be in a dome in Detroit and Minnesota, but when we think about those home games in Chicago, are we thinking about 35 to 38 kind of, up and down field kind of games? Or are we thinking about slugfest, thinking about getting tough yards?
And Bears DNA is slugfest, right?
And you think about identity, who fits more what the Bears probably want to do and how they've played, you would think it's Fields, right? He can run, he's strong. Like Caleb Williams is a guy who went to USC. Los Angeles, Hollywood. He's throwing the ball for 500 yards. Is he going to be doing that in 20 mile per hour winds in Chicago?
Well, okay, but here's the thing. You have to play the game you're in no matter what quarterback you are, whether you're Aaron Rodgers, you're Josh Allen, or you're Justin Fields, or you're Caleb Williams. You got to play the game you're in. So it's 50 mile an hour winds. No, you're not going to throw. And that's not, but if I'm the Bears, I want to change my identity. I want to be someone different. I want to try to catch up and have a chance to have the best quarterback in the division. That someone who can go toe-to-toe with Jordan Love now for the next 10 years. I want someone who's going to go head-to-head and take out Jared Goff. Who knows what's going to happen in Minnesota? We'll talk about Kirk Cousins later. I want somebody who's going to meet me at that level, not say, all right, I've got to win this thing by running the ball in defense only. Can I have my guy?
I just think it's been very interesting that in every year Justin Fields has played in the NFL, when has been the best part of his seasons? It's always been towards the end.
Yeah.
When the weather gets cold, defenses get a little tighter, and somehow he plays better. And I think that there's something to that if I was with the Bears and I'm thinking about, again, building that roster, I'm like, man, I got a guy who, when it gets 20 below, he somehow plays better than when it's 70 degrees outside in September. Like, that's winning time when it comes to playoff football. So that's something I would think about.
Well, I mean, Caleb Williams did play at Oklahoma, where it's not exactly balmy there in the winter, and he's from D.C. And, Justin Fields from Atlanta. Like, you can overcome the temperature you recently played in.
Let me ask you this. If Justin Fields, say there was no Caleb Williams on the board and the Bears were, say, the 3 pick and there wasn't a quarterback, they were 7-10 last year. Obviously, they lost that game in week 18 and Justin Fields was coming back. Would you not be excited about their future? I would think, this Bears team is a team on the rise.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is not necessarily an indictment of Fields, more of a praise for Williams.
No, I know. I just think that there's a chance you take actually a small step back with a rookie quarterback. I don't think you will, but I think it's going to be really tough. EJ brings up, it's the Windy City. I think this is not ideal for a guy who's really a Patrick Mahomes light. He's going to be amazing in the NFL, and he does have the arm strength to cut through the wind, unlike I think all 3 of these rookie quarterbacks do. I just think that it's not the ideal situation that you're on the rise with Justin Fields, and then you have to say goodbye and bring in a new quarterback with a coach who's sort of hanging on precariously. And you bring up some great points about how it doesn't seem like that's a unified building where everyone answers the same person. It's just, yes, it's going to be Caleb Williams number one to the Bears. But is this the best situation for the NFL? Maybe not. We'll see.
I love it. I love everything about it.
Would you love it more if he was going to Arizona or something?
No. Give me
Oh,
that.
my
Let's
God.
resurrect the Bears, guys. Like, this is fun. We were saying yesterday, Perloff, when Tyson Bagent came in, it went 2-2, and when Justin Fields was hurt. This is that was enough to get excited. EJ called him Tommy Cutlets before Tommy Cutlets. He was the Shepherd University version of Tommy Cutlets. Dad's the arm wrestling champ. Like, it's cool that there are some teams where the NFL's better when they're good. The Raiders are like that. You know, I think the Bills are like that, but maybe that's my own bias. I think it's cool when the Bears are good.
Yeah, they might be good, but I think Caleb Williams would be a superstar in another team. I think it's going to be
Arizona? I mean, Chicago's a major market.
Somewhere indoors where you can have him fling the ball all over the field, or somewhere warm. It'd be amazing. I think his numbers are just going to go down. EJ brought up, like, wait till the end of the season. We're not going to have CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud's going to blow up numbers wise, and he's going to be the shining star of the young quarterbacks, not Caleb Williams. And I think if it was a different situation where he went with a high-octane offense that passes the ball all the time, Chicago probably wants to run the ball, even with Caleb Williams there. That says it all.
It's a higher degree of difficulty, the job is, yet it's a great caliber of quarterback. Let's see what they can do. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in on the Caleb Williams, Justin Fields. We'll get into the Atlanta side of this in just a little bit. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, Popeyes fans watched a perfect pairing of Popeyes commercial during the big game and their new lineup of crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside wings. Order any of their 5 delicious flavors today. Oh, man, that sounds really good right now. I am injured, and I really can't do much. We'll get into that a little bit, but I think somebody needs to go get me lunch today, and I'm thinking Popeyes wings sounds pretty good right about now.
And that's the only thing that'll make you feel better?
It will make me feel better. I don't know how much better. That and maybe some Vicodin.
Well, what a combo.
Yeah.
New combo play.
That does sound delicious. So should I tell it? We keep teasing it.
Yeah,
Do I tell it? So I think I have an MCL sprain. I've self-diagnosed.
An MCL. That's not the ACL.
Yeah.
This is the back.
So it's on the inside,
Okay.
and most of what I know from the MCL is from this season with Joel Embiid and the 76ers.
Yeah, and you're just like him.
I'm a smaller version of him. I am so bummed out. I cannot even tell you.
So what happened?
I was skiing, and my wife abandoned me, and I missed the turnoff for the easy slope, and I went on the Black Diamond I'm a beginner skier. I'm not good. I'm just out there to entertain my kids. So I end up on the hardest slope on the entire mountain in the Poconos, and it's icy as all get out. I'm going down 100 miles an hour because it's basically off a cliff. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't slow down. I've totally lost control. I'm trying to slow down. And then boom, I lose it. I catch like an edge of my back ski and I go about 50 yards down the mountain. And
I'm sorry to laugh, but I bet that looked hilarious. I'm sorry you're hurt.
By the way, this particular slope, it was like a Civil War reenactment. There was people flying everywhere all around. We were all.
Wait, at one point were you going backwards? That's the worst. When all of a sudden your ski catches an edge and then you're just going backwards. Like, oh, shoot. Yeah. I have no idea where I'm going.
Just say a Hail Mary at that point.
So luckily for me, I had a guardian angel, and he was wearing an 11 Eagles jersey because this is Eagles country. So all of a sudden, a snowboarder comes up, and he's like, oh, man, that looks so bad. He was about 13 years. It was A.J. Brown. And I said, thank you, A.J. Brown. My wife.
I thought a snowboarder caused this accident.
No. This was all me. This was me in the mountain. But what happened
Man
was,
versus mountain.
at a certain point, when I was going down, my right leg got caught behind me, and I sprained my knee or something.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm sorry you're hurt. I wish I had footage of this because it would have been America's funniest home videos style. Just because you're so tall, on skis, losing control.
Oh, the one thing is, when I was going down the mountain, the skis were gone. The skis were 30 yards
gosh.
up the mountain. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Did you have to walk back up the mountain to get the skis? Or someone got them for you? AJ Brown.
AJ Brown got the skis back for me, and my wallet and my keys.
Oh, no. Wallet and keys.
I feel like
zip
that could have
that
gone
up.
No one needs those.
I feel like this could have gone a lot worse. I'm glad you got your wallet and keys.
The good thing is that part was bad, but then I got down the mountain on my own. That was good. So I didn't have to go in that little red ski thing, which
Ski patrol.
the ski patrol.
Although
yeah.
maybe they would have helped you. Maybe they could have stabilized your knee.
I think my knee was pretty stable. I actually thought about afterwards. Maybe it was adrenaline. I'm like, you know what? This hurts right now, but I'm here. I should just go for one more run.
They could pay for the lift ticket.
Because in the moment, I'd just been skiing. I was really warm. I was walking around just fine. The problem is when I stop and then move again, that's problematic.
Oh, man. I love how you blamed your wife on this one, too.
It was totally my wife's fault. Because actually, my daughter, who's a really good skier, was like, well, should we wait for Dad here to make sure he gets to turn off to the easy course? And my wife's like, nah, I just want to go down. I'm like, thanks.
Okay. I'm looking at a map of the ski resort that you were
Shawnee,
at.
yep.
So it looks like it could have been two. Were you trying to go on Kitnini and then you went into Renegade?
No. Believe me,
Renegade sounds like death.
Renegade.
Go.
It's
Okay.
so
Control
funny.
for that.
All day long, I was like, I went Kitney. Kitney was the easiest slope there. And Renegade is right up. Renegade is you're taking your life into your hands.
Yeah, that's a
So
black
I
diamond.
avoided that. In fact, my wife wanted to pose for a picture near Renegade. I'm like, nope, I'm not getting anywhere near that just in case I start going downhill.
Okay, maybe you went from Pocahontas to Indian Queen and somehow ended up on Tecumseh.
Nope.
Lower Tomahawk?
It was Lower Tomahawk.
So that looks like a beast.
The reason was
sounds rough,
my kids wanted to go. There's one hill that had a bunch of props on it.
Oh, okay.
So you could basically go up a little hill and jump and all this. So I'm like, okay, I'll go on the side of those so I don't pick up momentum. But there's a turnoff to the green slope or whatever you call it. And I didn't get that one.
Yeah, you never got to Lower Pennsylvania.
No, Pennsylvania was my jam all weekend long.
You stayed on Chief Thundercloud.
Chief Thundercloud. I think that's what did me in.
These names, man.
These
some of
sound
these
like
are
weed variants.
They actually sound like not very PC.
That too.
Like Lower Arrowhead, Lower Tomahawk. It's like LeBron James just comes and slams it in your face. That's the end. You should have stayed on Lower Delaware.
Yeah.
That was your jam.
You
missed it.
You want to? Can I get serious for a second?
Yeah,
At
sure.
Kitney, the friends we were staying with, their father loved that slope so much that he had his ashes sprinkled there. So we wandered off into the woods off Kitney and saw this man's ashes.
Get out of here.
Totally serious. And he had a little piece of artwork in the woods that commemorated him.
Did they allow that, or did they do this just off rip? Like they were just like,
They went rogue.
nobody's gonna know.
They went rogue. I don't know. They must have gone rogue.
Wow.
Whoa.
So it was like the spiritual thing, and it was
Okay.
it's a really beautiful part of the mountain.
It's the very top.
And it's so funny because my last run of the day, I was going to go on that, but my wife's like, why don't you just come here? You can do a blue. And I'm like, yeah, I can do a blue. And then it all went wrong. And
Then
now
you're
I
on
can't play.
Renegade.
I'm going to have surgery. I can't believe this. I'm going to miss basketball for 6 months for this stupid
How
skiing.
swollen is your knee now?
It's not swollen. That's the thing. So maybe I don't need
Wait.
surgery. Is there anybody out there, by the way, is it okay to solicit calls or emails on how to help my knee?
Look, it's already gonna happen. So
Yeah.
But Dr. Rock, can't
That's
he
what
help
I
you?
said.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Wow.
ankle and feet only, but he's got to know something about knees.
Well, somebody maybe.
Hospital for Special Services in New York is the #1 knee hospital in the entire
No,
country.
they'll cut you open.
well, look, we met celebrity Dr. David Chow last week.
Talk to David Chow.
There it is.
You guys were making fun
No,
of
that-
me that was my big celebrity sighting.
David
You were
Chow-
expecting Jerry Rice or something, and it was David Chow. You probably wish you had David Chow right now.
David Chow did 10 minutes on my elbow at Media Row. He said I have golfer's elbow, and he gave me he wrote
He's
down
up
stuff on
early.
paper for me.
He'll come on the show.
He's in San Diego. We're not calling David Chow right now.
He keeps
It's
early
4:30.
hours. He already told us.
If
Love to come on.
If you had video of the fall, he could probably diagnose you off the video.
How would I have
Definitely.
video of the call? Nobody could hold a camera on this mountain. It was like a bold-faced cliff.
He's like, well, what you should have done is taken Country Club down to Lower Arrowhead, and then you would have avoided Renegade.
You know when I was nervous? When a snowboarder jumped out of a helicopter right behind me. I was like, am I on the right
Did that
course
really
right now?
happen?
Yeah, this was a crazy. No, of course that didn't happen, Bogus.
I don't know. I've never been skiing my entire life.
Happened after.
You were in Upper Bushkill, and that's where you went wrong.
All right, Poconos is awesome. There are more Eagles jerseys on that mountain than any mountain in the history of the world.
See,
I used to live out there. It is
I was thinking
Eagles,
of you, EJ.
Eagles in Penn State country.
Lehigh Valley. How's their?
place.
I think their hospital services are pretty good out there.
Yes, great hospital services. As in fact, you should have probably hit them up, and I don't know. They would have helped you out. I think they could have got you a
Did you
little
think
diagnosis.
about going to the hospital?
No, I did not because I had a bunch of things to do. I don't think I. The other thing too, you call a doctor these days, you guys, and they're like, "Well, I can see you in 9.5 weeks."
Yeah,
Oh my
9.5
gosh!
months.
Or how about the dentist? Like you may have an issue with your teeth, like a urgent issue, and they're like, "All right, well, we can get you an appointment in 4 weeks." I'm like, by then I'll probably be fine. I won't need you anymore.
Right.
What's
Pull
going
out my
on
own
in
tooth.
June?
So my friend said you have to go to the emergency room for something like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I have 16 hours to kill in the emergency room.
You wanted to scroll on your phone for 8 hours waiting for someone. Well, we're glad you made it back. And
Sort of.
hopefully you'll feel better soon.
Why I'm not getting the compassion that I expected from my co-host
Want me to
here.
grovel?
No,
No,
you
I
are.
just Maggie is just sort of making
Listen.
fun of. I don't know where she's going. She's reading the different names, and she's sort of like. I don't sense empathy here. I sense maybe
I've
some
done
derision.
this before. I've had this happen where you find yourself on mine was a double black. But you find yourself and you're like, I'm just going to take my skis off and walk because there's no way I'm making it down without a neck brace at the end.
I know actually could have been worse.
So here's the funny juxtaposition that I'm looking at from my seat. You've got Perloff who comes in limping to have this terrible ski accident, and then you got Bogish who's just tanned, been in the
Still a little buzzed.
still got margarita working through the veins.
Doobie Brothers in the rain.
Easy.
Not just margaritas.
Yeah, some of that stuff will take 30 days to get out of your system. But anyway,
No, only liquor.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, none of our business.
As far as I know.
But it's just funny the two juxtapositions here of the two different vacations you guys just went on.
Yeah, we were standing next to a group of people who, as one show was beginning, unrolled a sandwich bag, and there were all sorts of pills in there, and they were just like giving them out. I don't know if they knew what you were taking. That was a bad game of roulette.
Uppers, downers, laughers,
Doesn't
criers,
matter.
doesn't matter.
And then all of a sudden, the dude didn't have a shirt on, so they were off and running.
Perloff needed that bag.
Take them all. And that'll put you out of your
No
misery.
one thing. They're not losing to 5-year-olds in air hockey.
Yeah.
At least Perloff saw a Reggie White jersey as he was getting injured.
No, we feel bad for you. What do you? Of course, we feel bad.
I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
There's already been a request for video. I mean,
Well, yeah.
I want to help you.
you're
Just want to
not.
diagnose the exact moment.
Yeah, help
You're
from
not
David Chow.
You're not nice people.
I do feel bad for your basketball team. Like, do they have like long-term injury fill-ins for you
No.
guys? Like, you get salary cap relief like the NBA? How does that work?
You saw what happened to Keith. Keith tore his ACL. Was out for a year and a half.
They able to cut him?
You get a trade exemption for you?
All of a sudden,
Replace you?
Keith got sent to Delaware playing for the Blue Hens
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Mac McClung.
he won the dunk contest, but no, I don't want to become Keith. And Keith can't guard anybody since he came back from his injury.
Can't guard Keith.
They got the same lateral movement.
Oh no, Keith was a baller, and now he's a shell of himself, and that's going to be me.
God,
Oh,
he's going
man.
the Klay Thompson route. You're going to have to go to the bench.
Oh,
complaining about minutes.
In the suit.
This is terrible. I mean, there's only one at this point in my life. There's really only one thing I like, and that's
It
playing
is
pickup basketball. Nothing.
You know what? But here's the thing: you're not going to lose the jump shot. That never goes away.
That is true.
You're not going to get the lift necessarily, but the shot will always be
Lift.
Can't
I never
lose
had
your
lift
legs.
in my life.
there. Well, then,
Work
there
on
you
it
go.
now.
You're going to be great. You'll be deadly spot up shooter.
That's what I am now, Maggie. That's all I got now.
Well, you'll have that. Just
I'm
a
a
little
hustle.
less.
I hustle on defense, and now,
Well,
God.
they're going to have to hide you on defense a little.
By the way, I'm playing Saturday. Can't even. My wife's like, you can't even walk up and down the stairs. I'm like, yeah, I'm playing Saturday.
Gosh,
Reed
if I got
game.
you in ISO, I'd be like, clear out, clear out.
You know,
Clear
they say
out.
You'd be
Ice
like that
cream.
anyway, EJ.
you don't
True.
retire
I'm
from
a
the
gunner.
game retires you. Listen, you've had a lot of good years playing basketball. Maybe don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened.
No. There is no way.
You're not going down.
Oh, no way. I never had any speed to start with, so I'm in good shape.
But there's
time to hang
nothing
him up.
worse than being in a pickup game and being hunted on defense. Like, and I've been that guy because I'm also not a great defender. Like, and just like every time someone's getting switches, and then it's like, all right, everybody clear out, let's go. And it's like, God, come on, guys, you guys know I'm not here for defense.
How about this? I think we follow Perloff's rehab. Let's cut you a couple hype videos. Let's get you back out here, get your confidence back up. See, we're behind you.
Have you thought of retirement?
No.
He won't do it.
The other thing, too, is I have this major elbow problem.
Yeah, you kind of been falling apart for a while.
Yeah. But the elbow problem has nothing to do with it. And my left ankle, I obviously have to get treated every week. This is I'm like
allergy
LeBron.
shots,
I put
it's
$1 million.
all there.
I put $1 million into my body like LeBron James.
You do the stair climber?
Yeah.
Well, let's get to Stuart. He wants to weigh in on Justin Fields and the Bears situation. Stuart's calling from North Carolina. Good morning.
Hi, guys. Good show as always.
Appreciate
I'm on the Justin Fields side, and I'll give you a few reasons.
Okay.
Number one, Maggie, first off, there's not a system for every NFL starting quarterback. There's some starting quarterbacks that are just bad, and Justin Fields is not one of them. And let me give you a few
Well, there's
reasons.
Caleb Williams, right?
Let me give you a few thoughts. For the first year and a half, the Bears did everything they could to sabotage his career. He had no weapons. His offensive line was atrocious. They would never run him. They finally started running him in year 2. They gave him a receiver in year 3. All of a sudden, he's a decent NFL quarterback that's trending upwards.
Right.
They made some defensive plays. I say get him another weapon, keep improving the offensive line, and you have your quarterback. Starting over, there's a reason certain teams are good all the time because they don't all of a sudden at a whim start over.
Yeah, but Stuart, this is not a whim. I'm not telling you to trade Justin Fields away for Zach Wilson or some kind of lottery ticket. And appreciate the call. I know you watch sports, Stuart. I know you watch college football in North Carolina. You watch Caleb Williams. This isn't on a lark. This isn't on a guess. Everything about the draft is an educated guess. But I'd rather have it tilted towards Caleb Williams than anyone else. I'm not saying get rid of him for some, lottery ticket. I'm saying Caleb Williams is going to be the highest rated draft prospect for the next couple years. So if you don't take him and you are looking for a quarterback, you can go the veteran route, but then you're at the whim of what's available, and you're going to have to trade for that person most likely. I'm telling you, the number one pick's sitting right there. You've had it 2 years in a row. You passed on Fields. You stuck with Fields last year. You got a haul. You can't afford to do it twice.
I totally hear what you're saying. It makes perfect sense. To me, it's just that salary. You got to take the risk because you're going to have to pay Fields.
Over. Right.
You're going to have to pay Fields. If you get to the playoffs, you have to pay Fields a ton of money right up front, which makes all your other moves limited. So you have 4 years of Caleb Williams under cost control. There's really no choice.
Andrew Bogish has headlines. Good morning, Bogues.
Good morning again, guys. Not sure if you've noticed, but it's still not going well in Milwaukee for Doc Rivers and the Bucks. The team is 3-7 under its new boss, and Doc keeps passing off the blame. He told Fox Sports over All-Star Weekend he would have preferred to wait until now to take over the team, and he told SiriusXM NBA Radio he told ownership that maybe they were making a mistake in dumping Adrian Griffin to begin with.
Personally, I'll be honest. I told our owners when they called, I said, I think I don't understand why you're doing this, And they said, one of the things they said was, well, it doesn't matter. We've done it now, and we want you. And so that was a tough one. That's where you had the hesitation.
Doc's
I think he's officially lost it.
Yeah.
Is that how this whole thing happened? I don't think that's how it happened.
No. So that's Pete's response.
That's
Here's
ridiculous.
JJ Redick's response on ESPN.
The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's hard. We get it. Just like getting traded in the middle of the season is hard for a player. We get it. But it's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus. They lose to Memphis. Oh, it's his players. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys. And then you look at his quotes over the weekend. Now he wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the Clippers working out. He wants credit for that. There's never accountability with that guy.
Which brings us to Austin Rivers, who would like Pete and JJ to leave his dad alone.
But in terms of accountability, like what are we doing here? Your best years in the NBA were when you played for him in the Clippers. Let's not forget that. I don't know if there's like frustration there or there's tension there between you. I know a lot of times we had to sit you towards the end of the game due to defensive reasons, but you had your best years as a starter there, especially our whole system was drafted around you because you're a shooter. You're not a guy who could put the ball on the floor. You were a strictly shoot guy. You're not like Klay Thompson or Steph who can put the ball on the floor. You're a guy who could catch and shoot. And you did it at a high level. Hell of a career, by the way. Big fan. But your best years were under him. It's just very ironic and kind of weird that you have this energy towards him.
Big fan, you suck.
Take a hike.
Big fan, but you have my dad to thank for the best years of your NBA career.
Ridiculous.
Now, Pat Beverly said kind of the same thing and then added that Doc saved J.J. Redick's career, which is patently false because a lot of people wanted J.J. Redick the year that Doc traded for him to the Clippers. So, again, pick your battles, pick your sides. I'm going to go with Team J.J. on this.
Austin is his son.
Yeah.
For a family, I think you go all the way. Like, you can't, there's no wishy-washy. You got to defend your dad 100%, right?
Although dad or Dookie. I mean, fellow Dookie. But here's the thing. No, of course your dad, but Austin Rivers did start that segment by saying, listen, my dad can fight his own battles, but on guard. And I get it. I defend my family too. Here's the thing about this. Why can't it be both? Why can't JJ have had great years under Doc, but also call out Doc Rivers because he's constantly manipulating the story? Now, maybe the real truth is somewhere in the middle, but Doc was an advisor for the Bucks before Adrian Griffin got fired.
Secretly.
Right.
We couldn't know it because it would have been awkward, so no one told us what was going on. Yes.
Right, because he's calling games for ESPN. Yep. He's also advising the Bucks. So to say he was caught blindsided by them firing Griffin and hiring Doc, that doesn't make any sense because Doc could have always said no. He's not bound to the Milwaukee Bucks.
That's a simple concept.
That would have been the Bucks would have, quite frankly, just shown their ass so much if they fired Griffin and didn't have a backup plan. They knew Doc was taking the job. All of this that Doc's saying is nonsense.
Of course.
Right. So JJ can call out Doc, and also JJ could have had great years under Doc.
And by the way, JJ Redick went on to have a fine career after Doc Rivers
was
his
gone. His numbers are basically the same as his whole
he
career.
went to Philly. He was the same exact player. By the way, before he was in LA, he was a good player for the Magic, a good player for the Bucks. So it wasn't like he was some scrub that was going to be out of the NBA before Doc Rivers called and said, "Hey, son, I'm going to save your career." Like, come on.
Wait. Now I'm defending Austin Rivers. I mean, what he did say, Doc does, by nature of his job, have accountability. The dude did get kind of pushed to the side in a bunch of places. So,
well, he said, he goes, how's he not accountable when he's held responsible?
Right.
Two totally different things, though.
Yeah, that is.
Accountability and responsibility. Yeah. I think they're not. I think they're related. If you get fired, you're being held accountable.
No, but if you're not saying, hey, I did a bad job, or hey, I should have done better, that's not you taking accountability. Someone's saying, hey, you sucked, so therefore you're fired. You have no control over taking that responsibility because they're kicking you out.
Right.
It's a lot different.
I think, people want him to be self-accountable.
Right.
Like, ownership can hold him accountable by firing him, but they want him, like the quote that JJ's referencing is they played the Grizzlies their last game before the break, and the Grizzlies played no one of consequence, and they beat the Bucks with Giannis and with Dame, and Doc goes, half my guys were in Cabo. Well, It's your job to make them focused for this game before they go to Cabo.
Well, and the other part, too, is like the, wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the Clippers. Like, it's like nobody can exist. Like, the league can't function without Doc Rivers in the middle of everything, if you ask Doc Rivers.
He's like, hey, I'm not doing a good job with my team, but I helped another team soar to the first half of a great season. My team is not doing great, but look at those Clippers. Hey, I helped him with James Harden.
So,
yeah.
Now, the other part, though, about Doc, keep the stories coming because I love it. Yeah. I love a good Doc Rivers.
It's getting ridiculous. No one cares about Austin or what he thinks, so get lost.
The funny thing, by the way, Doc said that James Harden was the reason he couldn't win in Philly because he always knew where the ball was. And that's the thing, like, that was 100% true, and he was 100% right. Yeah, so that one, you cannot blame Doc Rivers for saying that, because you will see it in the playoffs this year.
Doc has a lot of excuses, though. A lot of excuses
he's a spin guy.
And a lot of places where he didn't win. So, it's time to start looking at yourself in the mirror. And he's not doing it. And now he's acting weird. He's just acting weird.
Playing games in South Korea.
Right. Yeah.
Pete says to play games in North Korea. What are we doing?
Give it a try. But it might help. I don't know. But Doc, the problem is get the ball to Dame and get the ball to Giannis. Very simple. I don't know how 3 coaches can't do that. Let's get the ball to those guys, and maybe you'll win some games.
Yeah. I mean, when you put it like that.
Just roll the balls out.
Yeah, come on. Just get back to basics. Get back to basics in terms of getting those guys the ball and win. Maybe if you just get back to a simple formula, it might work.
Listen, yesterday Pete was making up poems about the Jets.
I know.
Today he's Pat Riley.
Oh, get me a coach. I'll coach the Bucks.
Have you watched double-digit minutes of Bucks basketball this year?
Maybe 10.
Okay.
How about Pete in the huddle, like with the whiteboard? Everyone's sweating. Giannis looking at him for a play. It's like, just go score.
Here's Dame. Here's you. Go score.
I'm on Team Bilotti on this one.
I played Coach Bilotti.
No lies spotted or anything he said there.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. They're
Ready,
professional ball
break.
players.
You don't need me.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Pete's right.
They've gone through 3 coaches. Three
All
coaches.
Don't forget
Giannis, you're going to take 3 dribbles from half court and dunk it on someone's head. Go.
Don't forget they didn't like Adrian Griffin's defensive scheme.
Yeah, and Doc now is scouting for other teams while he's coaching the Bucks. I mean, really.
It's all right. They're 3-7 since he took over, so I'm sure everything's going to be fine. Bogish, thank you so much.
My
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. The big question, to tag or not to tag? We'll answer that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff playing hurt, got into a ski accident, a one-man accident. Sean is in Oregon. He's got some advice for Perloff on what to do with this. What do you think? Hyperextended MCL?
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. Maybe sprained MCL, if I had to guess, but obviously I know nothing about this.
All right, Dr. Sean, what do you got, pal?
I think perhaps you just stretch the ligament.
Yeah, I think you're right.
What's the remedy for that?
Well, you want ice.
Yep.
You want to take. You want to keep your knee elevated.
Yep.
And what you don't want to do is you don't want to play Saturday, Andrew. You're benched. You're benched. You're on injured reserve, and you do not go out there and screw your knee up.
Yep.
Because when it's hurt like this, and you go out there and you think you can do it, something's going to happen.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean, for being the voice of reason here. Because Perloff he's talking crazy that he wants to play in his basketball run when you're hobbling around here like Quasimodo.
We got to keep you around, brother, so I can win another bet on you.
I know. I don't know, Sean. I don't know if I'm stepping in the betting arena with you anymore. I think I've learned my lesson. And I haven't even been close on either.
Sean, thank you so much. He's right. Do not play basketball this weekend. You got to have a little discipline here.
I had to miss this week because we were skiing, and I was so bummed about that. I was like, maybe I should just drive back Saturday morning and play. So this will be my 4th week in a row. I haven't gone 4 weeks without playing in so long, and I can't really play outdoors. It's a little too cold. This is not good. You know that. Have you ever heard the term rise, ice, elevate? I can't remember what it stands for.
You mean raise?
What is it, rice or raise?
No, rice, but you raise, elevate.
Raise. Do you know what the
ice?
It's
compression.
Compression.
Oh, elevate. No, E's probably elevate.
Elevate, yeah. So you have
R is rest.
So I should do the rest of the show with my leg up on the desk. Will that bother you?
No, do it. It's fine. Whatever you need.
I don't know if I can get the.
Do you need me to help you get your foot up there?
No. I can do this eventually.
That sounded painful.
Oh, and now I can't really get to the mic. Here I go. Okay, this is. I feel
I got like a size 11 shoe in my face.
I feel a little bad for you, Maggie. Not to mention,
just looking at the
how's
bottom
my
of your...
white calf treating you?
That is the whitest ankle I've ever seen.
So did you bring the snow bag with you?
That's your ankle? I thought that was a sock from here.
Pete, by the way, as soon as I said to Sean in Oregon, it's like, so what would you recommend per course of action? Pete gets in my ear and just goes, amputate.
You're definitely playing basketball after that.
Sorry.
Amputate. That is a very white.
That actually hurts
leg.
so badly.
Yeah.
That wasn't good.
All right.
I do. Oh, I meant to ice all show, so I do have to go get ice at the break.
Where are you going to find ice? We don't have soap in the bathroom.
No, there's that weird ice machine.
We do have an ice machine.
Oh, we do have an ice machine.
Yeah, we have water.
You cannot. There's literally no soap in the bathroom.
Hey,
but
what is the deal with the soap in the bathroom? I noticed that. I didn't know if the dispenser was broken or there just was no soap in there.
You have to put your hand underneath it like 5 times for soap to come out.
What kind of a system is that?
It's so weird, you know.
We don't have a lot of time during the breaks. So you got to get in and out.
It's like rubbing a genie lamp. Like you got to rub it a few times before something actually happens.
Yeah, and one of your wishes has to be soap.
Yeah.
That is one area of the world that has not been helped by technology: soap dispensers in bathrooms.
It's all the same.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, as long as we're on this, I do not love, and I know they're good for the environment, air dryers for hands.
Oh, I hate them. They're loud and obnoxious.
Paper towels.
Got to go paper towels.
But that's really bad for the environment. You save so much by using the air dryer.
Well, maybe.
But it never gets you dry.
The best invention of all time, though, is the automatic flush. And I'm sure that's bad for the environment, too, because it's a waste of water. But we need this in our lives.
So you don't have to touch less.
Touch less and just like, you know.
But have you ever had a situation where the automatic flushed in automatic?
Yes.
Splashed.
And you have to find a little button.
Yeah. But sometimes there isn't a button. It's just a sensor. And
I
I'm
know.
putting my arms and legs near it to say, hey, I'm here. I'm leaving now.
Why is EJ tap dancing in the stall?
Basically. It's so weird.
I am leaving now. Flush.
I command you to flush the toilet.
Coming up, it's Wednesday, which means great debate. Do it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Around here on Wednesdays, we do something called the Great Debate Series. Take something loosely based on the news and expand it out to a bigger topic. Welcome back to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff playing hurt after getting in a ski accident, but nothing happened to your head, so I feel like you're good here for Great Debate.
Well, that's debatable. Are we positive nothing happened to my head? Because it was a pretty hard fall. I don't really remember many of the details.
Well,
all I remember is everything was foggy. Then all of a sudden, an 11 Eagles jersey came out of nowhere and said, Sir, are you all right? No, I'm not all right. I don't even know where my skis are. Then he anyway, it's a long story. Ski accident. Playing hurt, but I'll be okay.
Next week, Pearl will be like, my CTE's acting up.
The other part is like when somebody comes up to you after you fall and says, man, that looked really bad. That just adds a little insult to injury.
No,
anyway.
it's the sir, too. It's like, hey, old man, how you doing?
Did you break a hip?
But hey, I fell 5 times this weekend. I got a lot of just demeaning looks from younger people on, they like these little 5-year-olds are zipping by 1,000 miles an hour. It's laughing at you.
They're out of control. You fell on a ski slope. Your wife got beat by a 5-year-old in air hockey. It's just not been a banner couple days for the Perloff. You guys need a big rebound. Well, maybe you'll win this debate. Again, on Wednesdays at this time, we do the Great Debate Series. Let's get to it.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, loosely based on the news, we got word yesterday that after a long, distinguished career, Matthew Slater is retiring from the NFL as a 3-time Super Bowl champion and one of the great special teams players of all time. Well, his father, Jackie Slater, also incredible NFL player in the Hall of Fame, which got us thinking, Perloff, about the best father-son combinations of all time that we have in sports. Now, we're not trying to be sexist here or anything. We'll get to mother-daughters, we'll get to sisters and brothers and all of that stuff. For our purposes today, we're just doing fathers and sons. We will get to other combinations, I'm sure, later on in the show at some point.
Was anyone accusing us of being sexist because we're not doing the mother-daughter combos? Are there famous mother-daughter combos?
I can't even think of one. I'm sure.
The Mother's Day week Great Debate. Tune in
former Sixer Harvey Catchings and Tamika Catchings would be good. That's father-daughter.
Yes, we can do all these different. Today we're just doing father-son.
And by the way, I do have to give you a little hard time.
The patriarchy.
The Jackie Slater, Matthew Slater, it's a bit of a thin hook for this. We're talking about an offensive lineman who's in the Hall of Fame and a special teams player.
Who might be the best of all time going to the Hall of Fame as well. Father, son in the same Hall of Fame?
I just think that Jackie Slater, Matthew Slater is not, when you think of,
they can ski too.
Yeah. It's not like, the royal family of special teams and offensive line play. That's not something that comes to mind.
Listen, loosely based, I don't know why the Slaters are getting slandered today.
Well, just because it's not like there are certain names where that family impacted a sport. Slater's not the first one that comes to mind, but okay.
Okay, well, loosely based on the news, we're asking for the best father-son combinations in sports. Perloff, take it away.
Well, this seems to me like there's 2 obvious names.
Well, do the one.
But I'll do the one. The one I'm doing is not complicated by allegations of PEDs.
Oh, I see.
So I'm going to go with Archie Manning and Peyton Manning. Sorry, Eli, you're out of this. What's the rule on that, by the way?
I mean, you're the one who doesn't even acknowledge Peyton's second Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I do acknowledge all those MVPs. Okay. I think the key is I saw the SEC documentary on Archie Manning. That dude was a baller. He was like, if he played in today's game, he would be a superstar. There was no play where he ever went down. 2-time Pro Bowler. Obviously never won anything because he was with a terrible New Orleans Saints team. But his style of play was way ahead of his time. He was great. I think he would have been a superstar in today's game. And he was a star back in his day. And the fact that he's now become the patriarch of the royal family of quarterbacks, and Peyton is one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time, arguably one of the top 10 players in NFL history, just makes him so far and above. Because you cannot give me, and I'm curious to hear this, I'd like to hear someone do a top 5 player whose dad was, well, I guess you could do 2 top 10 players of the sport, but it's really hard to get this high. I know where you guys are going with these, and I like a lot of those. But the Manning name alone, you say Manning, you think father son. You say Slater, you think, oh, okay, they were good football players.
Yeah,
you say
Manning, Bayside High School.
Loosely based on Bayside High School.
Yeah.
So to me,
it's all right.
To me, I'm taking the low-hanging fruit and the Mannings.
All right, well, you want to talk about 2 players who are both Hall of Famers, father-son duos. That's what we're talking about, great debate series. I can give you the best. Look no further than Bobby Hull and Brett Hull. 2 Hall of Famers. Bobby Hull, of course, was a 2-time MVP or Hart Trophy. I don't want to do the actual hockey names. 3-time points scorer, leader, Stanley Cup Hall of Fame. You get to Brett Hull, also in the Hall of Fame. Give me a father-son duo both in the Hall. That, to me, puts the Hulls above everybody else. You also have Brett with the Stanley Cup champions with the Dallas Stars. He won with the Red Wings as well. At least 50 goals, 5 consecutive seasons. I mean, you want to talk about, there are many royal families of hockey, but for father-son, Bobby and Brett, again, these 2, I think, cannot be topped in terms of individual accomplishments. Then you marry them together. Like Archie Manning's not in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Saints Hall of Fame or Saints Ring of Honor. He's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that's what puts, to me, the Hulls above the Mannings.
Yeah, but it's not like Brett was the all-time leading goal scorer. He's, what is he, 3rd or 4th or something?
4. Yeah, exactly. Dad is 2, son is 4.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit the numbers help you with the Hulls. They're pretty darn good.
Yeah, so...
The numbers help you with the Hulls. Yeah, that's the point.
That's why I think I have this one slam dunk. Give me Bobby Hull, Brett Hull, best father-son duo in sports. EJ, sir.
So I'm going to go to baseball. I'm not going to go to the obvious choice that Perloff was mentioning earlier with the Bonds. I'm actually going to go to the Dominican Republic with 2 of my all-time favorite players. One already, just a young player, already one of my all-time favorite players. And his dad was is still one of my all-time favorite players, the Guerreros. Going Vlad Jr. and Vlad Sr. And I think when I thought about the father-son duo, I think there has to be, and the Hulls are a great choice because like this duo, you have to be close in talent. Like, I think sometimes Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds, really good player, but Barry, greatest of all time, arguably. You know, Peyton Manning, maybe top 3 or 4 quarterback. Archie, I don't know, maybe 25, 30. Like, I want guys that are close in talent. I think that Vladimir Guerrero, awesome hitter, awesome arm out in right field. And you got Vlad Jr., who's projecting to be awesome player as well. They're fun. They both won the home run derby. How cool is that? Like, I just think that story's been amazing. So I'm going with the Guerreros, 2 guys that absolutely go up there and mash as my best father-son duo in sports.
Don't really care about on-base percentage much, do you? Or anything sabermetric at all? Because Vlad could hit 325 in a year and have a 328 on-base percentage.
No, I saw Vlad Guerrero hit a pitch that was an intentional walk pitch. Okay? And that's my kind of hitter. Go up there and swing the bat, okay? Well, and his son is just like him, which is why I love these guys so much.
That's why your team never wins in baseball.
I'm giving you Brett and Bobby Hull. You're giving me home run derby. I love Vlad Jr. But all right, Pete.
I'm going in the sports entertainment world. I'm going pro wrestling. Stu Hart and Bret Hart. Stu Hart was one of the best trainers in pro wrestling ever. Trained so many of the top wrestlers ever in pro wrestling. And trained his sons, 2 sons, Bret and Owen Hart. But Bret went on to be a world champion. Owen Hart went on to be one of the best intercontinental champions of all time. Both the best technical wrestlers, probably 1 and 2 in wrestling history. The Harts, Stu and Bret.
Ooh, well, you could make the same argument. Wasn't Cowboy Bob Orton's dad the most famous wrestler trainer? He's the one who found Ric Flair and all that?
No, that was Vern Gagne. The Gagnes.
Oh, the Gagne. I knew Wrestling doesn't count. Everybody's father, son. The Rock. What about The Rock and Rocky Johnson?
Give me the best father-son writing duo in WWE.
How about the Von Erich?
Choreograph.
You can't say his name anymore.
Yeah,
But by the way,
don't
could
say
you
that.
make a good argument for The Rock and Rocky Johnson?
Rocky Johnson was nowhere near Stu Hart.
What about Dusty Rhodes and Cody Rhodes? Now we're just doing us wrestling.
You could do that.
That was my second pick. I almost went with the Rhodeses. I
Is
mean,
it?
literally, Cody's opening is there's only more than one royal family in wrestling. Like, it's kind of right there, right?
Okay, but we're talking about Brett and Bobby Hull. You guys are talking about
Talking Stu and Bret Hart.
Stu and Bret
You have
Hart.
to admit, Stu Hart being a great trainer. I don't know. It's kind of thin.
It's not the Manning.
Rocky Johnson was a 5-year Intercontinental Champion. I saw him take down Don Morocco in the Spectrum.
Stu Hart trained Rocky Johnson's partner, Tony Atlas.
That's true.
Not well, apparently.
He was a tag champion.
Oh, okay.
Stu Hart was the man, though. Yeah, the Hart Dungeon. I mean, I love
Hart
Pete's
Dungeon.
pick.
Wow. I don't know about that. Okay.
Okay, Bogus, bring us back to sanity here.
I'm going back to baseball, which I think might lead in terms of nominations for this list. I'm going to take the Griffies.
Yeah.
We all know how good Junior was. His dad pretty good as well. 2 World Series, multiple All-Star games, almost a 300 career hitter. And much like the Hall of Fame, I'm ignoring Barry Bonds. That's why I end up on the Griffies. They're my suggestion. There's also no USSR hockey, father-son duo I can think of. So the Griffies are my pick.
No, they were sent to a gulag.
Yeah, I don't think
because they
Sergei
lost.
Fedorov's dad played in the 80 Olympics.
Kidding. All right, so there you go. Best father-son duos in sports. Perloff.
Oh, you ever heard of the Mannings?
Nope. I went with Bobby and Brett Hull. EJ.
I go with the Vlad Guerreros.
Pete Bellotti.
The Harts, Stu and Brett.
And, of course, Bogish.
Ken.
Which one of these things is not like the other?
You know what? Relax.
Well, Senior
okay?
was an intercontinental champ as well. You forget that part.
What about the Money in the Bank champ? Did they have that then?
If Stu Hart was around, I'd like to see someone try to pick a fight with him. The Griffies wouldn't be able to do that.
The Griffies would lose to Stu and Bret Hart.
Yeah, they would.
The Bonds would have a better chance. That
Well, Barry.
2002 Barry.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't go to WWE. Just kind of slide right over. All right. So obviously there are a lot more to choose from. We want to hear from you at 855-212-4CBS, which I thought was interesting. No basketball on this list for any of us.
And Doc and Austin are so topical.
Yeah, what are there any real options of basketball?
Well, yeah, you have Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
You have Del
come
Curry
on.
and Steph Curry.
Yeah, that Del Curry and I know Michael Thompson was the #1 pick, but those guys were not that great.
Well, Del Curry did finish, I believe, as the leading scorer in Charlotte Hornets history, and he won a 6th Man of the Year. Now, he's not Bobby Hull, in my opinion.
Honestly, I think the Sabonis are kind of skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Sabonis could be right there.
Arvidas, before he got to the NBA, was revolutionary, and his son is an all-star.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up Jelly Bean and Kobe.
That's what I thought too.
Perloff.
Yeah, because Jelly Bean was a bench player too. I mean, all those guys are okay.
Rick and Brent Barry.
I'm looking at listen, #1 father-son duo, Bob and Randy Orton, WWE history.
I can see
Take
that,
that,
too.
Bellotti.
Well, Bob Orton had the cast, the dreaded cast.
They were for 20 years. Right?
Sorry, once you bring in the wrestling fathers, it's hard to focus. You know what's interesting to me?
Perloff is distracted now.
Hey, they're both in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that Hall of Fame.
What about-
Who isn't in that Hall of Fame?
What about name power? I think that's important in this debate. Bonds means something. Griffey means something. But to me, Manning means the ultimate thing. Hull definitely means something as well. There's got to be something. And when you're talking about Slater, a little less so.
Well, again,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
not
no, I
try
know.
to. We're not railroading the Slaters here.
Who
It's
hurt
just-
you? Which one of them?
No, no,
Jackie
no,
or Matt?
I just think that I think I win this debate because Manning.
Okay.
It means something.
Well, I'm going to give you if we were going on name and a name that means something to a sport, then we're all wrong. And the true answer should have been Earnhardt.
Yeah, Earnhardt's a good one.
Dale and Dale
Yeah.
Jr. But again, we're doing greatest ever, and obviously you have Dale's incredible career, and Dale Jr. did also have a great career. 26 Cup race series races, including the Daytona 500 twice. So we could have done that as well.
I know. You know what? Now, because we used to hang out with Junior a lot at the
Oh,
Dan Patrick Show. What a great dude.
Yep.
unbelievable. And father-son, a lot of it in racing that we ignored, too. Obviously, the Petties, and you go down the list.
The Andretti's, yeah, which is a great one. So there's a lot more to choose from. Now, are we also being a little short-sighted here? Just because Barry, did steroids, does he not deserve to be on here with Bobby?
I mean, I made the point earlier, and again, Bobby was a really good player, 3-time All-Star, but does the discrepancy not matter a little bit if you're talking about father-son duo? I just think, when I think of Barry Bonds, I think of Mount Rushmore of baseball players, and that's kind of why I didn't go Griffey's when I talked about baseball players. I wanted guys that were kind of close in talent in some ways. Again, not to diminish the seniors, Bobby Bonds and Senior Griffey, because they were great players as well. It just seemed like their sons were just so astronomically better, where it feels like Vlad and Vlad Jr. will end up kind of being around the same. Awesome players, Hall of Fame, but there isn't this great discrepancy. Both of them I think will be in the Hall of Fame. I know that's early for Vlad Jr., but he tracks to be a stud.
Bobby Bonds was crazy talented, though. There was something about his backstory. He did play a long time. He was, I think, a little better than Ken Griffey Sr., if you want to do that debate.
I know, but Senior won. I mean, I know he was part of one of the great teams, but he was a major cog in the Big Red Machine.
But Bobby got an MVP voting. He was a legit. I think he was a little ahead of his time because he was a 5-tool player, as I like to say.
Again, we're doing the great father-son combinations of all time. That's our great debate series for today. You can weigh in 855-212-4CBS. You can also check us out on social media at Maggie and Pearl, at Maggie and Perloff on Instagram, Twitter, FaceSpace, MyBook. All that stuff. We're everywhere. YouTube, of course, .com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Let us know what you think. Greatest father-son duos in sports. It's Maggie Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Great debate today. Is a good one that was ruined by people out just a little bit.
I'll get lost.
Yeah, just a little bit, because it might, what he nominated, it's best father-son duos in sports history. Give us a call, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Pete introduced pro wrestling, which has many, many famous father-son duos. The rest of us were real sports, so I went with the Mannings, Maggie.
The Brett and Bobby Hull, EJ.
I went with the Guerreros, Vlad and Vlad Jr.
And I took the real baseball answer, the Griffins.
And Pete, of course, went with the Hearts, Stan and Bret Hart.
I don't even think you picked the right wrestling.
Excuse me, Stu.
Yeah, you didn't even pick the right wrestling, father-son.
I'm sorry. I know Bret Hart. Stu was a little before my time.
Before everyone's time, but you can still know him.
That's true.
Stan Hart was our plumber growing up. Stan Hart. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is it Stan or Stu?
It is Stu.
Stu. All right. Everyone, Stu.
Stu you.
Stu you. Stu Hart. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in. Fernando's in California has got one for us. Say, Fernando, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Don't let the nature boy hear you that wrestling ain't real.
That's right.
And,
We never said that. We just said it's different.
Real sports.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to go stick to wrestling. Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes.
Fernando, it's a great one. Thank you. So Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, where's Cody Rhodes?
Cody is also a son.
Okay, so is this like Archie Manning with Peyton or
Yes.
Eli? You got to pick one?
Yes.
Pete, in your opinion, did he pick correctly Dustin over Cody?
Well, Dustin's been around longer. Cody, I would go with Cody, though, now, because he's going to be a main event champion.
There we go.
He's having a moment, right?
Yes, he is.
I've seen him a
we
lot
were
more
there.
in pop culture these days.
And you and I we were at the press conference in Vegas.
But I don't understand. I'm out of my depth here, but Dusty Rhodes was, I mean, come on. I understand he was a great performer, but the dude, could he have lifted a weight once in a while? I was always watching, so I was a WWE fan. Then I'd go turn on the TBS show. I'm like, what's this guy all about? I never understood I didn't grow up with him. I don't totally understand.
He's the son of a plumber. He's an everyman.
Yeah, I know, but how could he get in the ring and compete with these giant hulking guys?
Well, I think that's the charm of it. I think that's why he was so popular. He was a common guy.
It's like the Bryan Danielsons type of people.
Yeah.
I
But
love
then
those
again,
kind of
against
guys.
Lex Luger, who could lift a truck. And then I don't know why it was a fair fight.
Lex Luger, in terms of wrestling, was nowhere near what Dusty Rhodes could do.
That is true. Sometimes those big hulking
But in
guys
human
aren't
life,
what
he
you
would
think.
destroy him.
Of course, in human life, yes.
Don't put him on a basketball court because Dusty Rhodes can hoop. which I couldn't believe until I learned this like 2 weeks ago. Somehow on Twitter, people posted Dusty Rhodes playing in a 1980-something celebrity game.
I was going to say, were they doing Rock and Jock back in 87?
I couldn't believe what I was watching, but here we go. We got a 350-pound man putting the ball between his legs, shooting threes. I'm like, you know what? This is why this man's the GOAT. Just incredible.
Wow. Let's go to Thomas. He's in San Diego talking about greatest father-son duos in sports history. It's our great debate question for today. Thomas, what's up? Thomas, are you there? Oh, man. Put you back on hold. Rich is in Chicago. Hey, Rich, who do you have for us this morning?
Yeah, I've got, how about Mahomes? His father being a decent major league pitcher for a long, long time. And if you believe that Pat Jr., which I do, is kind of the candidate for greatest of all time, that kind of offsets some of his father's lack of notoriety. But you got to consider the different sports.
Yeah, Rich, thank you. I think it's kind of cool that it's different sports. Thank you so much for that. You know, it'd be interesting, obviously, if Mahomes played baseball, then it just becomes a little more, I would say, generic, a little more formulaic. You could understand it. The fact that Mahomes did go to football is really cool. The fact that he might end his career as one of the greatest ever. But, you know, Pat Mahomes, we have a lot of Mets fans in here. Pat was fine.
He's all right.
He was a great reliever, but he did have a long career. I think he was in the majors for 11 years. So it's nothing to sneeze at.
Well, if we're bringing up the Mets, we're talking father-son combos. Why don't we just say the Phillies is the father to the?
Oh, thank you.
Because we were your daddy for so long.
Ridiculous.
We have the same number of World Series rings. Relax.
I don't know about that. Thomas in San Diego wanted to bring up Del Curry and Steph Curry. Again, I think Del had a very good career. It's almost like, but Steph is going to go down as one of the greatest shooter ever. So.
Oh, I see a good one on the list. The fielders. Prince and Cecil. Yeah. I mean, that's like your Vlad Guerrero
Same
Jr.
body.
If you're just going for sluggers, let's go with those guys.
That is a good one. And I actually forgot about the fielders. They're very similar to the Guerreros a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit of going in my head, maybe getting a little too dark, but like their relationship wasn't great. And that kind of like threw me off a little bit in terms of remembering them as a father-son duo. But in terms of on the field, no question.
Well, Vlad Jr. is going to be better than Prince, I think. We're not there yet, but I think.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But Prince was underrated, I think, when we look back. Like, he was a masher.
Hey, why did you have an all-time Nick on your list? What about Tim Hardaway?
Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Oh, my God. I'm trying to forget the Tim Hardaway.
Is he all overpaid?
I could do Jalen and Rick Brunson. Like, that's a father-son duo. Now, Rick was like, a fourth-string point guard on the Knicks, but he did play in the NBA, and his son is awesome.
So here's one that could be a future all-timer if we're looking ahead. And it's going to be relevant this draft season. How about Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Oh, you know what? That's hard to beat.
This could end up being one of the great father-son duos if Maserati Marv, the junior version, lives up to the hype.
I like the crossover sports. Calvin Hill and Grant Hill, I think, is the king of that. Because Calvin Hill was a very, very good football player. Yeah. Not quite the career you need to get on this list, but Grant Hill, I mean, that's pretty cool to have an NFL dad and an NBA kid.
Well, I think Andre Agassi and their son, he and Steffi Graf's son together, the kid plays baseball. So you could have dad is an all-time great tennis player, and then you're an all-time great baseball player.
How good is he?
Apparently he's pretty good. He's young still, I believe. Yeah. So there you go. Keep them coming. 855-212-4CBS. We'll get back to the Justin Fields stuff in just a moment, but Andrew Bogus has headlines for us. Yo.
Guys, there are more CFP meetings today in Dallas. The SEC and the Big Ten might ask for more revenue sharing, and organizers are trying to eliminate all conference ties to bowl games so they can schedule games easier in the expanded bracket. That was yesterday's news as they finally land on that 5+7 model. The 5 top conference champs get in, then the next 7 best ranked schools get in there as well. The Pac-2 was the holdup, delaying this vote for a while, figuring out where they wanted to go. The vote had to be unanimous. It's finally unanimous. And the Pac-2, Washington State and Oregon State, this benefits them the best because with the 7th at-large spot, they have a slightly better chance at getting into the field since their conference championship does no longer exist. New Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer trying to lock in his offensive staff again. Nick Sheridan and Jamarcus Shepard were always following him from Washington, but their roles were not clear. Now they are co-offensive coordinators. They replaced Ryan Grubb, who initially came to Tuscaloosa with DeBoer, but left to become Seahawks offensive coordinator. Little known fact, Doc Rivers told Mr. and Mrs. Tatum they should have a boy, name him Jayson, and raise him to be an NBA star. Tatum's now going a step farther than Doc, declaring himself the best player in the NBA in an ESPN interview. But what about the other good guys like Embiid and Jokic?
I got a lot of respect for a lot of guys in the league. Giannis for sure. Jokic obviously just won. Embiid, guys that won MVPs. And the list goes on. The league is in a great place. I truly do believe every night I step on the floor, I'm the best player.
Don't you have to say this if you're someone of Tatum's caliber? I think he actually believes it, by the way. And
he should. You're right.
I don't know if he believes it with him because he's a guy who, you're right, he does have to say it, but he's never exuded that kind of confidence in his career to me. When push comes to shove, I'm not sure Jayson Tatum really deep down believes he's the best player. Do you think he was projecting this into the world?
Well, I mean, you got some Game 7, collapses and stuff like that, but it's not like Joel Embiid's been awesome in some of these playoff series, and I'm sure he probably thinks he's the best.
Look, Muhammad Ali said I had to say that was the greatest before I actually was the greatest in order to believe it. And Jayson Tatum is usually a very humble superstar, and to Perloff's point, maybe a little too humble, maybe too giving.
Yeah.
It is such a totally different approach, though, because remember, Giannis, after he won a championship, said, I'm still not the best player. He said LeBron's the best player, and other guys that were more accomplished were him. So interesting that Tatum, who has not won a championship yet, not won an MVP yet, said that he was better than those guys. And I think in another interview, he said that he doesn't think that he's won an MVP because of losing in the finals. He thinks that's being held against him and why he doesn't get more love for that, which I thought was interesting as well. So he's clearly in a different mindset in terms of where he ranks in the NBA right now.
Wait, that doesn't hold up at all.
That's what he said, though.
I know, but he's not looking at reality because Giannis and Jokic had both won 2 MVPs before they won a title.
I know, but I think he's saying that the way they lost, they were up, I think, 2-1 at that point in the series. He thinks that that's being held against him. I don't know if I quite buy that.
I mean, Embiid is an all-time playoff choker and just won an MVP. Not choker, but he gets hurt.
I don't think you're right. I would say he's never been healthy for. Here's the thing about Tatum. His mentor, Kobe Bryant, had that killer thing in the playoffs. It was unbelievable. Tatum, to me, that's the one thing he's lacking. And I feel like he's trying to will it into existence here. Because when most fans step back and say, who's the best player in the NBA, I don't think Tatum comes to mind.
Maybe, but
I mean, I would think Luka's ahead of Tatum in most people's minds. I think individually,
I would think so.
Yeah,
isn't there like a fake it till you make it quality? Like again, like you said about Ali, just keep telling yourself you're the greatest. Maybe it'll come true.
It's good.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, and I think that he mentioned guys that he will probably face in the playoffs if they ever win a championship. Like he's going to have to face Giannis. He's probably going to face Embiid, and he's going to have to face Jokic in the West. So I think him going into this playoff in this run to the championship, hopefully for them, saying that I'm already better than those guys, I think is him trying to get a mental edge because he went up against Steph Curry in the finals and he had 2-1 lead and then Steph Curry just eviscerated them and put them to sleep, literally.
He's got the old guys looming around too. If it was the last 2 minutes of a finals game against LeBron, Curry, Kevin Durant, do you really have faith in Jayson Tatum? I think most people will be like, ooh, I don't know.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. I was talking about this with my husband, actually, about, did you see at All-Star Weekend, Jayson Tatum met Larry Bird for the first time?
Yeah.
What?
I heard that, yeah.
For the first time.
How is that possible?
Okay, and that's what I said. I'm like, man, bad job by the Celtics. How is he meeting him for the first time? Larry Bird's an all-time great Celtic. Jayson Tatum's an all-time great Celtic now. How does this happen? And my husband was like, do you think Michael Jordan has met any of these Bulls? And I was like, ooh. Checkmate.
But none of the Bulls are Tatum.
I don't think he met Derrick Rose.
But you're like an all-time great player for the organization. I would think they would bring you back to talk so that you're kind of familiar with everyone. Now, Jordan is a team owner for a different team, so now he's the competition. Do you think Scottie Pippen has been back to meet any of these Bulls? My husband did give me something to think about there.
Well, Jordan,
that's when I pushed him out of the car.
He's hosted the Bulls many. Jordan goes to as an owner, went to the games. He must have met the Bulls players.
Maybe, but I thought that was wild that Larry Bird and Jayson Tatum have never met before.
I think Larry, he did when he played, and I think he still has a very kind of complicated relationship with the city of Boston. Like, you don't see Larry Bird at a lot of Boston Celtic games. Like, I can't think of the last time.
He's more associated with Indiana now.
Right, and I think he talked about the media. He didn't love the media there and just, how much of attention it was. He was, your pure, I'm just going to show up, play basketball, and leave and screw everybody.
I know,
That's
but
kind of his
Patrick
attitude.
Ewing had a bad relationship with the media in New York and the Knicks, and he's back all the time.
I know. It's weird because Magic Johnson is the total opposite. That guy is Mr. Laker. Like, he's probably met, D'Angelo Russell, and he's met the 14th guy on the roster.
He literally quit on the Lakers and is held in higher regard.
Right, and they still invite him back. So
he probably
it's a totally
interviews
different
college prospects. Like he's all over that.
He goes on late night shows and talks about it.
Yeah, him and Bronny have definitely done a breakdown of film at this point for his future Laker career. Yeah, the Larry Bird Celtic thing is weird, but when I heard that too, I was like, wow, that's stunning. But yeah, Bird is Mr. Indiana.
Well, it's funny because I saw a sit down with Larry Bird and Reggie Miller and Isaiah. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was like a round table about Indiana basketball. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen Larry Bird talk in a while. What has he been doing? What's he doing on a daily basis?
He might stay away.
He was the GM and the coach of the Pacers.
That was like 20 years ago.
Got to the Eastern Conference Final.
I might count on my hands the amount of times he's probably been back to Boston since leaving the Pacers.
Yeah. He really, I didn't even think he was quietly kind of disappeared from public a little bit.
He's Larry Bird. What's he going to be out there doing? Nike commercials? No chance.
But remember, Larry Bird was notoriously ruthless when it came to his own teammates, evaluating other teams, talking about other teams. I mean, we hear the complaints that past players have about the NBA today that are way nicer than Larry Bird. Imagine with Larry Bird, you ask his opinion about load management, his opinion about guys taking games off. You think Larry Bird is going to be nice? I think he probably said it's better off I don't say much and I'm kind of out of the spotlight because I'm going to eviscerate everybody.
But like to the original point, though, this weekend wasn't Jayson Tatum's first All-Star game. Now, this one was in Indiana, obviously. That helps the Bird cause. But they've also been in the finals. You just think
he would have come across
somewhere or Bird was back for something else, some kind of ceremony in Boston. Like, you'd think this would have happened before 2024. Because Tatum's also not new. He's been in the league, 6 years?
Yeah.
Like, this should have happened before Sunday or whatever day that was.
Obviously, Bird retired from the Pacers officially a couple times, 2017. Then he was an advisor until recently. But
in 2017, he should have been scouting Jayson Tatum.
Right.
He should have met him when he was a Duke.
What year was Tatum?
He was, I think 16-17 was his first NBA season.
So they sort of, that's maybe an excuse for Bird. He was out of his main role as a evaluator at that point.
I don't know.
No,
anyway,
it's weird.
It blew my mind.
It blows my mind. I don't even believe it. How is that possible?
I didn't believe it either.
If you're a Celtic fan, are you a little annoyed by this?
Kinda.
Like, don't you think that Jayson Tatum talking to Larry Bird would help him?
Oh my gosh, if Jim Kelly had never talked to Josh Allen, I'd be like, what is wrong in the building that these two people haven't met? I think it's a similar type of thing. I know there's a lot more great Celtics than there have been great Bills. I'm just using my own team for an example, but I mean, would it be weird if Eli Manning and Daniel Jones were teammates, but anyone who's...
I think a lot of it depends on the organization and their relationship with alumni.
I know, but you think with Larry Bird, it would be solid.
I'm just going to use the example because here of New York, before Steve Cohen came in to run the Mets, the relationship between the alumni and ownership was not good.
Right.
So you did not see many alums come around for years. So there might be some relationships that are not the best.
I get it.
It's weird because they parade around the 08 Celtics or 07, whatever, where they parade them around like they won 10 championships.
Kevin Garnett.
When they won one. Meanwhile, we can't find Larry Bird. He's in witness protection. It's very weird.
Men's number 1, UConn took an 85-66 beating at number 15 Creighton last night. The Huskies hadn't won 14 straight. The Blue Jays had never beaten number 1 before. 5th-ranked Tennessee, a 72-67 survival at Missouri. Number 19, San Diego State, losing at Utah State, 68-63. The Rangers, the hottest team on ice, pushing their win streak to 8 with a 3-1 home win over the Stars. But the Panthers did survive OT with Ottawa 3-2, so they remain 1 point up on New York for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. And U.S. women's soccer, a 5-0 rout of the Dominican Republic in Carson, California to start group play at the Women's Gold Cup. Olivia Moultrie scoring 2 of those American goals. Next up is Argentina on Friday. Guys, back to you.
Bogish, thank you. Our great debate series question today, the greatest father-son duos in sports. This is loosely based off of Matthew Slater retiring yesterday. His father, Jackie Slater, is in the Hall of Fame. So we're talking about father-son duos. Our very own Andrew Kaplan weighing in.
Uh-oh. This is trouble.
I know what this is, I think.
Do you want to guess?
I'm going to make the Colorado connection.
Yep.
Tell me he's
You're
going
right.
with the Sanders family.
Dion and Shador. Why? can't groan. I mean, Shedeur
I'd rather
still
a
has
wrestling nomination.
has a little to go, but Dion is an all-time great. So you're off to a good start with the father.
You got the Marvin Harris. If you're going to do a college player, then Marvin Harrison Jr. That's pretty good, though. That's a good choice by Cap.
I'll go on a bold jump and say that the Harrisons will be the best by the time this is all said
When
and
this
done.
is all said and done,
Yeah.
will be Marvin Harrison Jr. and
Those will
Maserati.
be. They might end up being top 5 in all-time receiving stats.
What do you think about Bronny?
No chance.
Bronny and LeBron.
No chance is harsh, but I don't think Bronny is going to be in LeBron's class. I'm actually interested in Bryce.
Can I bring up an issue, by the way?
Yeah.
I'm not doing draft season if we're calling him Maserati Marv the whole time.
Why? It's such a great nickname.
I don't know.
And
I
it's
mean,
a way to distinguish between junior and senior.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't do it?
I can't do it.
You're gonna do
Every
the shoulder
time we talk about
protest?
who's the number 3 pick, Maserati Marv. I don't know if I can do
We have
it.
to say it like Gus Johnson. Can't we just be smooth with this, like Maserati?
I want to just do the Gus Johnson drop every time we mention his name.
I
I would
don't
say
know,
bring up
because
Gus Johnson at the draft just to do the pick.
I had an issue at the time where he was saying Maserati Marv throughout the game as if everybody was saying Maserati Marv, and now I guess people do, but I don't know. I thought Gus had a very tough early part of the season. He was openly rooting for Colorado in a game.
Yeah.
And then he just like hit us over the head, bludgeoned us with Maserati Marv.
Can't we just pick a shorter name car? It might help.
Mazda Marv?
Mazda Marv.
That's not flattering.
Who loves driving a Mazda?
Mitsubishi Marv.
So but he's the only guy who's going to get a nickname in this draft process?
Yeah, what do you got for Drake May? Maserati May?
Drizzy.
Was it?
Drizzy? Just like Drizzy Drake? Call
There
him
you go.
Drizzy. Here you go.
Mazda May. See?
You're
See,
not-
that is very judgmental, though, Pete. To call him Mazda May, the other guy's a Maserati?
Well, Mazda's another
Okay,
solid car.
if we're
you
going to do
drive a
this,
Mazda, don't you?
I do.
What about Maybach Marv?
okay, if we're going to do
I like
Maserati
Maybach
Marv,
Marv a lot,
every
actually.
prospect has to have a car associated with him. So, Cabriolet Caleb.
It rolls right off the tongue.
You put the top down.
Chevy Caleb.
Jaguar Jaden
Jaguar
Daniels.
Jaden. Yeah, I was just about to get that out.
He was a Tiger at LSU, but close enough.
You want to keep this going?
Is there anybody with an H, a Hyundai? For a sponsorship?
We do love the Hyundai Tucson. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Keep them coming. Best father-son duos. I love this one from Cap also. Ian and Noah Eagle.
Oh, come on.
That's a good one.
Come on.
Noah's calling the Super Bowl on Nickelodeon.
Announcers.
Ian
Yeah,
is an
first of
all-timer.
all, well,
Jack
Mar-
Buck and Joe.
Yeah, how about Marvin Kenny and there's a lot of father sons. Jack Buck and Joe. I mean, Jack Buck
Yeah.
is called everything.
No, I know. I do. I love Kenny.
I
just
just
feel
too
like-
hard to broadcast.
Ian is the best.
I didn't know is like doing a college player. Noah's 23.
He just did a Super Bowl.
He just gave up the Clippers job because he had too many other things going
He's
on.
the voice of Notre Dame football. He's doing a lot.
Well, are we not going to bring up Chris and Jack Collinsworth?
We are
No,
not.
we're not. 855-212. Just kidding. 855-212-4227.
I'll say we're not.
855.
You guys are mean.
That's not right.
Roll through that list, too.
212-4227.
Don't get me started.
We tripped into another.
How many buttons have we hit? By the way, I still have not heard the poem from yesterday. And the final hour, can we play it again? I got to hear Pete's poem.
Yes, we will play Pete's Ode to the New York Jets, which he came up in a short amount of time after Big Friendly wrote about the 49ers. Okay.
I'm a good writer.
Sure. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. On Wednesdays, we do something called the Great Debate Series. So today, we're doing best father-son duos in sports, loosely based off of Matthew Slater retiring yesterday. His dad, Jackie Slater, is a Hall of Famer. And Matthew Slater is probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame, right? It's hard for special teams guys, but he is kind of universally known as one of the best.
Such a weird one. He's how many Pro Bowls? 16 or something crazy? He probably will, but it will always be with a slight asterisk.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Steve Tasker's not in. He was always known as, but Dion was a great special teams player. Devin Hester.
Wait, that's a different thing.
Adam Vinatieri, Justin Tucker. I mean, there's all different types of special teams.
Those are totally different.
I know. Well, those, I'm just saying.
Dion, forget Dion. Because Dion was also the best cornerback in the entire NFL for 8 years. But Devin Hester, I think, is different too, because when you have whatever, we're not getting into a whole Matthew Slater Hall of Fame conversation.
No, we can do that tomorrow. Mike is in Syracuse, has a great father-son duo that we had not thought of. Mike, go ahead.
Well, this one's right up your alley, Maggie, with cross sport.
I know.
You've got Yannick Noah, French Open tennis winner, and his son, Joachim Noah.
Yeah.
Two-time NBA or NCAA champion and an NBAer.
Oh, and an all-star, an NBA all-star.
Yeah. And
Oh,
if you
Mike,
even go back,
love it.
If you even go back even further, Yannick's father was a soccer star in Cameroon. So that's 3 sports, 3 generations.
I love it. Mike, we learned something today. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and also, like, some cool people.
Yeah,
I mean, I have no idea what they're like personally. I've met Joachim Noah once, I think we interviewed him. But, I mean, Yannick Noah,
he may have the coolest parents of any. Because his mom was like a Swedish model, I think, or something.
She was Miss Universe,
Right,
I think,
exactly.
from Sweden.
Yeah, exactly.
But
probably the coolest parents in sports history.
Let's not say that Joachim Noah is on the list of players we're talking about, like the Suns, or we have like Barry Bonds.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, let's not. I know he played in New York and has a special place, but I mean, I don't know if he gets to this
No,
list.
but the 2-time NCAA champion is also
he's
part of it.
legitimately a great
Well, let's go Tito and Al. Let's bring in the Horfords if we're going to bring in the Noahs.
You could bring in Tito and Al. That
Love
would be
those
great.
guys.
How about John? He's in Arkansas this morning. Hey, John, who do you have?
Hey, good morning. I'm a Denver guy, so I'm gonna go Easy Eddie McCaffrey and Christian.
Yep, that's a good one, John. Thank you, Ed McCaffrey, with the multiple, 3 Super Bowl wins, and now Christian, so close, but an amazing player and a MVP finalist.
And Luke McCaffrey, I think, was MVP of the Shrine Bowl recently, a few weeks ago. So maybe there's another McCaffrey coming.
Tony in Alabama's got one. I'm familiar with it, but not totally. Tony, who do you have for us?
Well, bowling's one of the most physically demanding sports there is, and we got Pete and Dick Weber. I think between the two of them, they have 60 PBA titles.
That's amazing. The most physically demanding sport? Where'd you get that?
Well, it's just common knowledge.
Okay. Yes, everybody knows that. Tony, thank you for the phone call. Everyone knows that bowling is the most physically demanding.
Yeah, to who?
P. Weber Jr., greatest celebration of all time, though.
Will live in it. That should just be on repeat in terms of him celebrating after the whatever. I don't even know what it was that he won.
Honestly, I know we're laughing that is like a great father-son duo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, both were the best.
You can't pull a bowler on the list and tell me Stu Hart's not on the list.
Why?
Well, it wasn't really Stu Hart. It's just you picked the wrong wrestling father-son. I looked at all these lists, and nobody has the Harts above the other famous pairs.
All right, well, you look at the wrong list.
I do feel like if you're looking at, because I think to Pete's point, Stu, maybe not wrestler, but in terms of wrestling industry, I mean, we don't have half the Intercontinental champions in the history of the sport or sport entertainment without Stu.
Hold on, though. And I love you, Pete. You're my guy. Road trip to San Antonio, that'd be you and me all day. But the outcome was always in the balance when Pete and Dick Weber were bowling.
Oh,
Let's go to Clinton, who's in Rochester. Good morning, Clinton. How are you?
Give up.
I'm all right today. How about you?
Doing great. Who's your best father-son duo?
Well, no one has said this yet, so the Griffeys.
Well, that's what
Ken
Bogish
Griffey?
said. Yeah, Andrew Bogish said
he did?
Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr.
I apologize. I turned on the radio too late.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, because they're the first father and son to play in the same outfield in the same game.
Yep, amazing. Clinton, and thank you for that. Yeah, it's okay. We're constantly getting new audiences. No need to apologize. Try to reset the topics as much as we can. The Griffeys are amazing. I got to interview both of them together. It's one of the great moments of my life as a broadcaster.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they were on the same team, I think, makes a big difference, too. Ken Griffey Jr., because he played during the steroid era and was never linked with steroids, that made him even greater. He's the only guy I would actually buy a ticket to go see. Whenever the Mariners were playing the Yankees, I had to be there. Reds, Ken Griffey, no, thank you. But, I love a lefty slugger, and there's no prettier swing in the history of baseball.
But you would want to see the Big Red Machine. If you could go back and get a ticket to anything in history, the Big Red Machine wouldn't be anywhere on your list.
No. To see Ken Sr. and Cesar Geronimo and Johnny Bench? No.
Well, Johnny Bench and Pete Rose.
Those
I know
guys, yeah,
Pete Rose is unsavory now, but
they were great. But I'm just saying, Ken Griffey Jr. to me is the ultimate have to buy a ticket to see guy. Ken Griffey Jr.
Who's your current have to buy a ticket? Because I'll tell you who mine is.
Well, Shohei probably baseball.
I think it's Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark would be good. I mean, Curry tickets are really expensive, and LeBron tickets are really expensive too.
Because you're not sure how much longer.
Yeah, like that last time around. Yeah, Shohei is the baseball player now is Shohei by a mile, right? That's a guy you have to see.
The only thing about Shohei is this season he's not going to be pitching.
Who cares? Just see him hit. It's just a monster at the plate.
Yeah, but I want to see both.
I just love any lefty slugger. I would always pay to see Bryce Harper play too.
There you go. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, we've got updates. One team emerging as the favorite for a Pro Bowl quarterback. We're going to have a lot of quarterbacks switching teams this offseason. We're going to get you up to speed on all the latest odds, where everyone is rumored to be going. We do all that next. Maggie Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
The new odds-on favorite to join the Pittsburgh Steelers, that would be Russell Wilson. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And you know what, Perloff? I get it, and I like it. And here's why. First of all, we can talk about Justin Fields. There's been some movement in the betting market that kind of indicates that perhaps he's on track more to go to the Atlanta Falcons. But let's put Justin Fields aside, as the Bears would be selecting Caleb Williams number 1 overall. I like Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers because it's not going to cost you anything, really. Russell Wilson is going to get released by the Denver Broncos. You are not going to have to trade anything for Russell Wilson. No one is trading for him.
Right.
And the Broncos are on the hook for his salary. So you essentially could pay him the league minimum. You give up almost nothing, and you get a viable quarterback on your roster.
You do, but are you excited about Russell Wilson? And I actually like the fit because the key is to really feed George Pickens here. That's my number one job. And Russell Wilson, the one thing he can do is throw that deep, long pass. I feel like that'll be nice with Pickens. And Deontay Johnson's good. But he's turning 36, and the Steelers tend to go so conservative on offense. I'm a little worried about that combination. You remember last year, even with Pickett, they're just so conservative, and I know they got rid of Matt Canada, and they're starting over there, but I just worry that this offense is going to be anemic with Russell Wilson. Not necessarily just because of Wilson, just the way the Steelers like to play football.
Well, listen, Arthur Smith is the new offensive coordinator, and if it's going to look like it looked in Tennessee, it's going to look like you're running the ball quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mind that for the Steelers because I know that as much as the names may have changed in the front office, and I know that things have switched around on the coaching staff, the DNA of the Steelers is most likely going to be to try to run the ball and win with defense. And here's the thing about Russell Wilson joining. I like it because you don't have to do anything. You know, if you're adding Justin Fields, you've got to trade probably a second-round pick, right?
Yeah.
You got to think about the fifth-year option. And EJ made a good point about this, EJ, so I'll just sort of, piggyback on a point you've made, which is, who's the adult in the building if you're trading for Justin Fields? Like, he's a good, by all accounts, good dude, good guy, but you would have him with Kenny Pickett, with Mason Rudolph. Rudolph is the guy who's actually been in the league the longest here, and you've had leadership concerns on the offensive side this whole season. So who sort of solves that problem for you? And it's a good point that EJ made. Russ does give some stability there. The Kirk Cousins angle would probably be, if you're polling fans, that would probably be the number one option. But Kirk Cousins, a lot of money. It's going to be most likely a fully guaranteed contract, and you're probably going to be bidding against the Vikings and who knows who else.
And you're coming off an injury, obviously.
And an ACL
you
for guys
cannot ignore
35.
That. So Rudolph.
Achilles.
Rudolph, unrestricted free agent. So I would assume you don't do Fields and Rudolph. If you're going to go that, or Russ and Rudolph. That's a great question. I would say the answer to that question is Mike Tomlin has to be the adult in the room, and that has not always been the case. You have these combustible personalities at wide receiver. That's part of being on a Steelers team, is that you have combustible personalities at wide receiver. It's a very legitimate concern. I get it, because even last year you saw Pickens and Johnson getting upset for good reason because they were just running the ball into the line again and again. I think Fields is I honestly think Fields is more interesting for this particular team because I would love to see him run with that team. Okay. Imagine it's a formula of a running quarterback and defense like Baltimore.
Yeah, no, it's great. The question is though, are you going to bring in Fields? Because does that mean Kenny Pickett's got to go? And I'm reading a lot of beat reporters in Pittsburgh and people who cover the team, and they're not convinced that Kenny Pickett's going anywhere. And in fact, a former first-round pick, not that you have to hold on to a first-round pick just to prove you were right or whatever, but to give Kenny Pickett, who you picked the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl partly based on how Kenny Pickett looked in the preseason, are you really going to just toss him away when you are starting over with a new offensive coordinator?
That's not why I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, because their defense is awesome.
Well, that's true, but I'm saying if you bring in Russell Wilson, who's now got the most favorable odds to go to the Steelers, you don't have to get rid of Kenny Pickett. If you bring in Justin Fields, you probably get rid of Pickett.
But what difference does it make? Kenny Pickett's going to sit behind Russell Wilson for a year and still be a viable NFL player? I don't see that happening.
I think that maybe Kenny Pickett wins the job.
Okay, well then you're bringing in Russell Wilson to be a back. That's weird. Now you're getting into some weird energy.
I don't know. I mean, you make it an open competition. You see what happens.
Wow. So why can't Justin Fields be a backup to Kenny Pickett?
I think I think the age, I think they're so close in age and the first round picks, they just seem a little, they're not redundant in terms of how they play. It's different, but doesn't it feel a little too close? That's a classic. You got two quarterbacks, you don't have one.
But Russell Wilson being the backup to Kenny Pickett feels odd to me too.
Listen, welcome to the new reality of Russell Wilson. Now, again, he could win the job. Maybe he does win. Maybe you stack the deck so he does win the job.
It's a little different than this example. What we did see Tennessee, and now we have Arthur Smith, so maybe it is a good example. Like Tennessee bring in Ryan Tannehill to be a backup to Marcus Mariota, a guy who was a high draft pick, who was a rookie, not a rookie, but maybe a third player. Tannehill eventually won the job. Remember, Mariota started the year as the starter. Tannehill was the backup to begin that season. So there is some precedent, but Perloff's right. It would be a little bit of an odd move.
Well, who else is offering Russell Wilson starting gigs?
Right.
Kenny Pickett, unless I'm reading these stats wrong, has 13 passing touchdowns in 25 NFL games. That is an odd thing to see him on the field over Russell Wilson.
And so maybe Pickett is the backup, right?
Yeah,
that could be.
I think Pickett's the backup to both those players, unless he really shows out in preseason, which he might.
Listen, Justin Fields is better than Kenny Pickett. Definitely.
I think right now Russell Wilson's better than Kenny Pickett, too. Russell Wilson, look at his stats last year. He was flinging it all over the place. He was one of the top 10 statistical quarterbacks by a mile last year. I mean, Peyton's offense helped that.
Yeah, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's get to the Justin Fields part of this. So some Eagle Eye fans notice that Justin Fields is not following the Chicago Bears on Instagram. Groan, roll your eyes, whatever. In the year 2024, that means something, especially young people today who are very aware of their social media. So Fields doesn't follow the Bears on Instagram, does start following some Atlanta Falcons players. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and now we're reading some tea leaves here. I always thought this was the best course of action anyway, and that is for the Bears to draft Caleb Williams and say goodbye to Justin Fields. And if he ends up in Atlanta, that's a great fit, I think, because you do have weapons. You're going to play inside. He's from Georgia. A lot of this makes sense.
I can't stand the way Atlanta's built their team. I mean, they have weapons. You mean they have high first-round picks at skill position players. Do they really have weapons? I don't know. Is Kyle Pitts really a weapon? Depends if you have a coach who figures out how to use them. There's just a lot of issues. Everyone knows who are the successful teams. The Eagles, the Patriots. You build from the offensive line out, and they have completely gone the opposite direction. So I just don't know how good a team they are. So I could see Justin Fields going there and them still being sort of lost in limbo once again.
So the new offensive coordinator comes from the McVay tree. So everyone's happy because the Sean McVay disciple, Zach Robinson, was the quarterback's coach for the Rams. Does that make you feel any better about it?
It feels a little better. Zach Robinson's a name who's been floating out as a future OC for a long time. So the thing about it, though, is a whole team. Like you look roster up and down because they've been neglecting a lot of positions to draft running back, wide receiver, tight end. And the other thing is you draft tight end, that means you're automatically paying a tight end. And tight end should be basically free in today's NFL. They have the lowest franchise tag. Their whole team is screwed up. I think they need a reset, and that's what I worry. Justin Fields, is he going to a much better situation? I think the Bears is actually a better situation for him than Atlanta. Which one would you choose if you had your choice as Justin Fields?
Way more winnable division, easier to get to the playoffs in the NFC South.
That's true.
So give me that. I
But
mean,
Bears seem to be surging one way, and Atlanta seems to be stuck flat in limbo.
yeah, but do you want to play or do you not want to play? Because I doubt that Justin Fields, if he stayed somehow in some weird universe where they have Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, which would never happen.
Wait,
he's
why?
going to sit.
I think he'd start 7 games and they'd find a way to get Caleb in. It's possible. What if nobody's giving you a second-round pick because of the money for Justin Fields?
So the money to me doesn't bother me because all you have to do is pick up the 5th-year option. So that's $20 million for a quarterback. That's cheap in today's day and age.
Yeah,
basically,
but
it's almost backup money.
As our buddy Andrew Brandt, the Sports Business Insider, wrote, he said, if you trade for a player, you give him a second-round pick, you are pressured to automatically sign him to a long-term contract, kind of Jimmy G style.
I know, but I saw the Panthers do this with Sam Darnold. They pick up the 5th-year option. They didn't sign him to an extension, and they moved on.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold was at a particularly desperate situation, though.
They still got a second-round pick for him.
Crazy.
And
I know.
a second and a fourth.
I wouldn't use that Sam Darnold situation as precedent.
That's the only thing I got.
Justin Fields, he feels like a young ascending player. There's going to be so much pressure to re-sign him, especially if he's any good.
Yeah, well, but then you got a good quarterback, so you don't probably mind re-signing him. And
No.
I don't think he's getting, is he getting back-breaking money with that next contract, or is he getting Daniel Jones money?
I will tell you this. Justin Fields, if he was in Chicago next year and they traded that number 1 pick and got Marvin Harrison and got all sorts of goodies, I think that's a playoff team. I think Atlanta could be very close with Justin Fields too. I just think Chicago's going in the right direction. A lot of good young players, and Justin Fields has shown he can win there. He's beaten good teams. And by the way, they were 7-10 last year. They really should have been at least 9-8. They blew a couple games at the very end, and it wasn't Fields' fault. Just fluke losses.
Where did you get ice?
In the back room.
You got like a melted bag of
that
ice.
baggie is like the smallest baggie I've ever seen. Too.
I couldn't find a big baggie. Do you have one?
I don't. I'm just commenting.
Who
on.
brings that to work?
Did you fit 2 ice cubes in there? Like how could you?
I don't have a big bag. Do you have a big bag?
I wish I did. I want to help you out.
Well,
So do I.
do you really? Because it doesn't sound like you guys are part of the solution here.
I'm just commenting on what I saw. I saw you had ice and I was excited, and I saw this baggie and I'm like, we got to help out our guy here.
I got a sandwich bag for you. It's got some residue in it from my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but I think you're good. So Perloff sprained his knee, we think, on a ski slope. Was this yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
Fresh.
I have 5 major. I have a lot of friends who've had knee surgery, and there's one at HSS and there's one at Beth Israel. Or is Beth Israel still exists? I thought it went out of business. Anyway, a lot of big time
local hospitals. If you're in Arkansas right now, the HSS is hospital for special surgery, and most of your
Beth Israel is someone's middle school
Grandmother.
teacher. Yeah, grandmother, right?
and just most of the New York Giants and Jets get their knee surgeries there. Yes.
I know a guy named Big Z. You guys ever heard of Big Z? He's one of the great 3-on-3 players in the country.
Wait, you talking about Jordan Salgauskas?
Nope.
Got excited for a second.
No, his name is Zaire, and he's
Probably got a knee surgery.
considered
at
one of the best 3-on-3 players in the country, and he went to Mount Sinai. Sorry, I said Beth
Yeah.
Israel.
Mount Sinai's still there. My husband got his appendix out there.
Wonderful success. So basically, I'm solliting hospital recommendations.
Do you think they're going to call?
If anyone wants to treat me for
surgery
free,
too, like maybe you just need some rehab.
Exactly.
Like, you're going straight to the knife. I don't know.
No, but I'll see the doctor and he'll tell me. These are
okay.
really good knee doctors. They're not all going to cut.
I'm hoping you don't need surgery. Like again, I'm hoping we can rehab.
I got to
this
be
thing and
honest.
get you back.
I think it's surgery.
Really?
I think I tore my MCL.
Okay, I'm gonna say this as your friend, and I care about you. I think sometimes you jump to conclusions about how bad your injuries are.
That could be true.
But
a sprain is basically a small tear.
I know, but not all of them need surgery.
No, I don't think I need. I don't know if I don't know. This one feels pretty bad. I've had a lot of injuries. This one is way different.
I remember when you sent us a picture of yourself in the hospital for the pinky.
Well, that one I definitely needed.
And the eye was scary.
The eye was scary.
The eye was really scary.
You looked like you were in the ring with John Jones or something.
So I broke my pinky, and I opted not to get the surgery because I didn't want the recovery. One of the great mistakes of my life.
It is a mistake. I've done the same.
Yeah. All basketball players have been like,
your pinky
well,
is
we
now,
probably should get this
your
up.
pinky looks like this. If Cap could see me
and
on
by
the
the
camera,
way,
it looks crazy now.
If you bang it the wrong way on your computer, it's broken again. Have you ever had a surgery? You were an athlete?
Knock on wood. No.
The finger injury, I did it when I was like 12, and I'm thinking, oh, whatever. I was still playing basketball. I didn't even know I had a broken finger until months later, and I was like, why does my finger point this way? This is how it looks straight, by the way, people looking.
Who is it? Brian Baldinger, who's got his finger is like a 90-degree angle.
Torrey Holt's hands are scary looking.
Did you guys catch Bruce Smith's hands when we met him at the Super Bowl?
I didn't catch his hands. It was also mangled.
Just a mangrove tree.
Anthony Munoz, too.
Anthony Munoz. Anyone who's got their hand in the dirt.
Look at these two bad boys. They're on camera.
Oh, my
They're
gosh.
both my right and left finger are pointing the exact wrong way. There's this gigantic lump of bone in my left finger. I don't even know what it is.
Velotti's not impressed. He's like, Dusty Rhodes would have been out there.
That's right.
Stu Hart would have got us and turned us into heavyweight champions.
Stu Hart would have coached that thing right out of you. By the way, why are we bringing that up? Great debate series today because we do this on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday we do this. Take something loosely based on the news. Great debate series off of Matthew Slater retiring. Matthew Slater, Jackie Slater. Great father-son duo in the NFL. We asked you for the best father-son combinations in all of sports. Let's go to Mike is in Oklahoma, wants to weigh in on this debate. Mike, how are you?
Great. How's it going, Meg?
Go great.
Well, thanks for taking my call. Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to weigh in real quick on the NFL's first family, which I think most, as far as number of players, nobody can touch. It's the Matthews family.
Yep.
And they've had 7 NFL players, which started with Clay Matthews Sr. way back in 1949. Then he came to the NFL after he fought in Korea. Of course, everybody I think knows Clay Jr. and Bruce. And there have been there's another generation. So between them, there have been 25 Pro Bowl invitations, 11 first-team All-Pro, and 3 Super Bowl appearances. So I think that's a pretty good grouping.
Oh, it's a great one, Mike. And thank you so much for calling in. Perloff did the Mannings as like the first family of football and football royalty. But if you want to talk about the Matthews, you got like 2 different family trees here. You've got Bruce and Jake and Kevin is one side of the Matthews. And then, of course, you've got Clay Jr., Clay the Third, and you have a Casey Matthews as well, who played for the Eagles.
And then you mentioned Clay Sr., who I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, and played and then fought in Korea.
Right, and I'm looking at his stats now. I was like, oh, this guy is legit. He was a player as well. Like, he
the grandfather.
Yeah, the grandfather, which is like amazing. Nobody even talks about him.
Clay Jr. obviously played with the Browns mostly. Then Clay the Third was USC and the Packers, and so that was a great one.
But once Arch gets into this mix, then it's going to be the Mannings are going to be unbeatable.
Yeah. But Arch's dad is
Cooper. Cooper probably would have been as good a player. He was a wide receiver. But hurt his neck. He was a great player, too. Easily would have been an NFL player. And he's also the funniest one in the ads, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think Peyton's the best actor.
Cooper could be a stand-up comedian. He's insane.
I know, but Peyton Manning might be one of the funniest actor / or athlete crossover we have.
I think Eli's way funnier on the Manning cast, though, just the way it's set up. Peyton does most of the talking, and Eli comes in with a random comment off the top rope.
I feel like Peyton Manning is like, you guys are going to laugh at me. I think he's Batman. I think that he has to be that joking guy because inside he's really like a computer, and he's like a menace. So like, the Peyton Manning we see on the Manning cast and on SNL is his mask. And the real Peyton Manning is the guy we see on the field yelling at, at Jeff Saturday.
I believe the same with Brady.
I got to tell you,
I think his true self is on the field just being a total maniac. And then he puts it on for public appearances. And I don't think his personal life is messed up, but you know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
I think Peyton, though, is good. SNL appearance was great. But Eli's SNL appearance was also
Bruce Wayne.
great.
When Bruce Wayne goes out there and he's the playboy, people love him. But like, if you tell him who he really is, he's Batman.
I think Tom Brady's closer to Batman because of Maggie's reason. I think Peyton is a little goofy. But by the way, Eli's catching up hard. Did you guys see the Eli Manning I'm Nice video at the Pro Bowl? His diss track? Oh my God.
I did see that. That was really funny. Well, he was in a freestyle battle with Super Hot Fire.
Yeah.
Which was first of all, 2007 called. Like where has he been? But the fact that he even came up with that was brilliant. Eli also was awesome. I agree with Perloff. He's getting there.
Eli's a little weirder than Peyton. Peyton's kind of weird, but Eli's super weird.
He's got the little brother doing the karaoke, This Is How We Do It, the Montel Jordan song.
Yeah.
Eli's always kind of been Eli Manning face. There's a reason why that term exists. Anyway, we're talking about the greatest father-son combinations in sports. I'll go just around the horn again because we've got new audiences all the time.
Yeah. I just went Mannings, as we're discussing.
I went Bobby Hall and Brett Hall, 2 Hall of Famers, father and son.
I went with the Guerreros, a little bit of projection. Vlad Sr. already in the Hall of Fame. I believe Vlad Jr. will get there as well.
I went with Stu Hart and Bret Hart. I know a lot of people want me to go with the Webbers from bowling.
Well, according to our caller, it is the most grueling physical sport. Bowling.
Get lost. That's bowling. If I could do it, it's not grueling.
That's what Perloff always says about golf. And Andrew Bogish picked the Griffies, Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr.
Can I tell you a skit we did at Dan Patch Show that it might get us canceled? I have no idea.
Great.
Can't wait for this.
It did get Dan Patrick canceled.
Executive producer, can't wait to hear something that might get us canceled that I know nothing about that's about to happen.
Yeah, it was basically it was.
Wait, did it air?
Yeah, it aired many times.
Oh, okay. Then it can't get anyone canceled, or you would be canceled.
No, because it was 2012.
Ooh.
Maybe I shouldn't do this.
Maybe not.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I would have passed.
Mention it off the air, and then we can talk about.
Let's do a.
That is true too.
No debate.
Yeah, we can do. We have a committee, like the playoff committee.
I think
we'll
it's
decide
fine,
whether
but
or not it's cancelable, and then we come back.
Yeah, I think
Perloff has a good gut on this.
Yeah. My gut says let's talk about it in the off and the break. That's what my gut says.
All right. So are we gonna? So how do I even tease this going to break?
Will the playoff committee of cancelable topics approve Perloff's story? Find out in 5 minutes.
Don't we have a committee that's going to decide the loser hat?
Yes, we still have that, by the way.
So the same committee. Yeah, same committee can do multiple things.
So if we decide not to do this, you're going to wear the loser hat.
I think that we will pull a vote immediately.
All right.
Okay, so just really quick, the loser hat is at my house, but I have the poop emoji hat.
I'm not wearing that.
Oh, come on.
I'll bring the loser hat tomorrow.
Why is the loser hat at your house?
I brought it back from the Super Bowl, and I just
brought
haven't
that
brought
down
it
to the
in.
Super Bowl?
Yeah, I did. I brought it to the Super Bowl.
It's like carrying the WE championship. You bring it everywhere.
You wanted to wear it.
I never know when someone's going to try to steal it.
Right. It's like 24/7 championship.
Yeah. All right. We'll debate in the break, and then we come back, and no matter what, I'm going to tell you what it is anyway. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227, Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, the committee has spoken. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I thought this was maybe inappropriate, but we did a skit at the Dan Patrick Show many, many years ago where Archie Manning pretended that the basketball player Danny Manning was also his son, and he couldn't convince him to go into football. But Danny, of course, starred at Kansas and sort of a star in the NBA, played basketball, and he's like, I just asked Danny a million times, why don't you just try football? He's like, nah, I'm going to get basketball around.
He's 6'10".
Yeah, so the Manning joke. I don't know.
And it's off our great debate today, which is the greatest father-son duos in sports. And Perloff, you picked Archie
the Mannings, yeah.
and Peyton. And Eli, I guess.
And I kind of secretly,
Danny.
I secretly want to get Arch in that mix.
Well, the Arch.
Do I get some Arch
the
love?
grandson / the nephew.
Who hasn't even really played any significant games yet, but
and is not likely to play this year either.
We'll see.
Quinn Ewers.
We'll see.
That's true. Quinn Ewers does get hurt, so
yeah, he seems to like, or they blow out teams. Anyway, the Manning name, to me, of all the names we're bringing up, that's the one royalty name. Who's yours?
Well, mine is also royalty. I mean, Bobby and Brett Hull. Now, someone set me what? Not
well,
royalty?
the Howe name is just as royalty as the Hull
so
name.
I got that also.
Yeah.
How about the Howes as well? Howes and Holes.
The Hows and Holes, yeah, and the Oars. Except I don't know if there are multiple Oars.
EJ
I went royalty in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
The Guerreros, Vlad Jr. and Vlad Sr.
And Pete went with the wrestling avenue.
Stu and Bret Hart.
And Bogus just came in and sat down. He went with the Griffies.
Because I couldn't take the Hearts because Pete went before me.
That's right.
But you could have taken the Bonds.
Yeah, but no. Barry's out.
Let's get some more. You guys keep them coming. I love our very own Andrew Kaplan, who is manning the chat, says, did anyone mention LeVar and Lonzo? If you ask LeVar, never lost.
What about LeVar and LaMelo? Instead of LeVar and Lonzo.
I know, LaMelo's still playing.
What's the third guy who got arrested?
LiAngelo.
Yeah, that would be a stretch.
He stole a pair of sunglasses in
China.
Yeah,
bad idea.
Yeah.
The president had to get him out.
Terrible idea. Would not advise. Richard's in California. Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Yeah. How about Jack Snow and the rescuer of Dusty Baker's son, JT Snow?
Yeah, I like this one, too, because it's the crossover, right? Because Jack was a football player and JT is the baseball player. I love that.
Pretty first baseman, too.
Yeah, he was. Richard, thank you so much for that. We love the crossovers. We got a good one with Yannick Noah and Joakim Noah. Yannick as the tennis player and Joakim as the basketball player. Do we have any other crossovers?
Grant Hill, Calvin Hill.
Yep, Grant Hill. Calvin Hill was another one. Larry is in San Diego. Good morning, Larry. What's up?
Hey, how you doing this morning? I got a couple for you. They come from the NASCAR community. How about Lee, Kyle, and Richard Petty?
There you go. The
Yep.
king.
And then also, how about Bill and Chase Elliott?
That's a great one, too. We said the Earnhardts also, Larry, the Andretti's. There's some great ones from racing. Absolutely love it. Keep them coming. I think we basically got all of them. Then we started projecting who's going to end up being the best. And I think we settled on Marvin Harrison and Maserati Marv Jr.
Mazda Marv.
No.
I'm sorry. Mazda Marv. Hopefully he's not Mazda Marv. He's going to have high expectations.
What's wrong with Mazda Marv?
Mazda Marv is like a 4th-round pick. Maserati Marv
That's not
is a
true.
top 5 pick.
Mazda Marv can end of the first round.
Tony's in the chat says Henri and Maurice Richard.
A good one.
Yep.
Well, they were brothers, weren't they? Or were they
Are they
father-son?
brother or father-son? Double check that.
I have no idea. There are a lot of by the way, if we wanted to play the brother game, then it's a whole different thing.
We'll do that. We got Tiki and Rondé, down
Yeah.
the hall. You also have one that we did not mention but came in the chat a couple times. Howie Long and Chris Long. And
Yeah.
Kyle Long was a good offensive lineman as well, but obviously Chris is the 2-time Super Bowl champion and Howie is the Super Bowl champion and the 8-time Pro Bowler, I believe. Howie Long?
Yes. So we have I'm sorry, I'm going to come back to this issue. We have a long time until the draft, April 25th in Detroit, I believe. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the number one wide receiver draft prospect we've seen since ever. We can't call him Maserati Marv every time. We have to make a rule here, Maggie. You get 3 per show.
Watch me.
3 per show.
No, I don't want to be confined by your rules. This is a dictatorship.
I'm just telling you.
Bogus, you.
I'm kind of with Perloff on this.
Yeah, I mean, we can't hear Maserati Marv every time.
Okay, do you care if I call David Ortiz Big Poppy? We all call him Big Poppy. What's the difference?
It's different. There's a lot of syllables in Maserati Marv. I think you're right. There are occasions where you use the nickname, but I think there's just too much to say. Maserati, it overwhelms everything. When you say Maserati Marv,
Sorry,
it just overwhelms everything else you're saying afterward.
Another one from Kaplan. Man, he's really killing it today, every day. Tiger Woods and his kid. Looks like a pretty good golfer in his own right.
Charlie
Woods.
Oh,
Too
get
early.
out of here.
Too
Charlie
early.
Woods already?
I mean, the kid can.
I mean, are we doing Jayson Tatum and Deuce already? I mean, Deuce is like 6. Is that good enough?
Doing Rudy Giuliani and his son? What is this golf?
How about Julius Randle and Kyden Randall?
Oh, he's so cute.
Kyden Randall is so great. He's like our mascot. Love that
Did you
kid.
say Rudy Giuliani?
Wow, it's just like a famous golf son. Isn't his son a golfer?
I don't know. His son trying to be mayor or something
No,
somewhere.
he worked at the White House.
Yeah.
Right, he was like a college
golf
golfer. He was an
resume.
outstanding golfer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think he was almost a pro golfer. Now he's whatever. Anyway, that was totally random. It's just thinking
Most likely a
famous golf
defendant in
sons.
some kind of lawsuit.
Uh,
Anywho,
Now he drives the drink cart.
for the Rikers Island course. Sorry, that's a prison. Bogus has headlines.
oh yeah,
Do I?
Andrew was a men's
Giuliani,
golfer
yeah.
at Duke.
There you go.
He was really, really good. Anyway, go ahead.
The 5+7 format that the college football playoff leaders approved yesterday apparently only applies to the next 2 postseasons. Things could start anew in 2026, and that's why today's management committee meeting in Dallas is so important. Nothing should be decided. There should be talks. There should be proposals. The Big Ten and SEC could start flexing their muscles, demanding guaranteed spots in the field, plus increased revenue sharing and voter power. When we get to 2026, like 2/3 of the good teams in America will play in those 2 leagues. So they bring a lot to the table, hence their power to ask for some of these things.
They are going to steamroll everybody else.
Now, Perloff doesn't care, but Matthew Slater announced his retirement yesterday after 16 seasons, all of them with the Patriots. Slater made 10 Pro Bowls, the most ever by a core special teams player, which means he'll likely join his dad, Jackie, in the Hall of Fame one day. Bill Belichick says Matthew is the best special teams player ever. Hopefully you enjoyed the Yankees being bad last season because now they have Juan Soto and now Aaron Judge is healthy. Judge missing 42 games last season after rupturing a ligament in his right big toe, crashing into the fence at Dodger Stadium. And while he is back to normal now, the toe will always need to be monitored. So if you're the voodoo doll type of person and you hate the Yankees, keep putting those pins in the doll's right big toe. And maybe you guys can do a 2-for-1 with the doctor, Perloff. Maybe you could go with your knee, his toe, get checked up at one point at the same time.
What is
You and
Dr.
Aaron
Rock?
Judge.
Yeah. So here's the thing about this. Either this could be, they're laying the groundwork here that this is a convenient excuse for Aaron Judge to now miss 30 games a year.
Fingers crossed.
Or you're going to have a guy who's 6'7", 260 pounds, who forever is going to have some type of lower body injury. That's
Fingers
not
crossed.
great. I mean, come on. Like, that can't feel, I know it's a toe. I know toes have ended guys' careers. That's not going to happen with Aaron Judge, but the fact that he's got to monitor this now, you can't feel good about it.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to put out into the universe yesterday. And I wouldn't say unprompted, but like, you didn't have to tell us that it always needs to be checked. Like, if it was fine, you wouldn't have to check it, right? I mean, this means that there's something still possibly close to happening with that toe at all times, right?
And he likes to play the outfield, and he's got a cannon for an arm. He's a great defensive player, and you have Giancarlo Stanton, who's made of fiberglass. So you have just signed Judge to a 9-year, $360 million deal. Is he going to be a DH for most of that if his toe is an issue from here on out? Like, what did you just pay for is what I'm asking.
Stanton did get slim, though, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, he looks like 30 pounds. Yeah. Maybe more.
Okay, so here's the question about
He
that.
shedded a Billy Jock alone in the offseason. He's like about 155 pounds.
So here's the thing about the Giancarlo Stanton, right? Best shape of his life, another spring training thing. If he hasn't been able to stay healthy for as long as he hasn't, and this isn't one of the first things he tried, meanwhile, the guys out there are looking like he's one of Pete's, wrestlers.
Well, that's the thing. Imagine being too jacked. All of us want to just be jacked. And he goes, you know what? I might have too many muscles. Let me downsize a little bit to keep myself out there.
Also, but this is like Plan Z.
Yeah, that's true, too.
You couldn't have tried this before?
Yeah.
Anywho's.
And does this end the official petty Yankee hating meeting for the day? That we're all hoping for them to fall apart? And let's go Mets. Number 1, UConn's 85-66 loss at number 15, Creighton last night. The largest loss by number 1 since Virginia's historic 20-point loss to UMBC in the 2018 Big Dance. Blue Jays head coach Greg McDermott.
It's really a culmination of a lot of work by a lot of people over a long period of time to give these guys the opportunity to wear this uniform and play in front of the crowd we were able to play in front of tonight.
Creighton had lost its first 6 meetings all time with the top-ranked team in the nation. The Huskies' 14-game win streak is now history. Let's do some hockey win streaks. 8 in a row for the Rangers, thanks to a 3-1 home win over the Stars. 6 in a row for the Panthers after downing Ottawa in OT 3-2. And a 4-game run for the Kings, courtesy of a 5-1 decision over the Blue Jackets. And some soccer news from Germany. Thomas Tuchel is stepping down at Bayern Munich after the season. Bayern has lost 3 consecutive competitive matches for the first time since May of 2015. And more importantly, they're in danger of losing the Bundesliga crown for the first time since 2012. Bayern Leverkusen is 8 points ahead of them, which brings us to next Wednesday's great debate, the best Bayern soccer clubs in the world right now.
Well, I was going to say there is a soccer one that we've gotten a little bit in the chat, and it's Peter Schmeichel. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
You could be.
With Kasper Schmeichel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I have no idea.
Sure. Me neither.
You guys are the soccer people.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard of Peter Schmeichel, but I am unfamiliar with Kasper.
I think
Did he write SNL?
That's Peter Schmeichel.
Oh, close.
Kasper Schmeichel is a Danish goalkeeper. It looks like he's 37.
Okay.
I knew that guy you mentioned before, Tim Tuffle, stepped down as the manager of
Great Met second baseman, even better soccer manager.
Yeah.
He's multi-talented. Tim Tuffle.
Tim Tuffle. Good utility player.
We did that right, didn't we? Didn't we do best second act? That would have been a good one. Best second baseman to Bayern Munich head coach.
I thought every great soccer league, help me out, has a second team. Like there's always, even if you're dominant, you're like your Paris Saint-Germain, there's always another famous team, right? Or is Bayern Munich the only? Or Bayern?
I feel like in Germany, Bayern Munich has just been running it for like 15 years.
Yeah, apparently so.
But Dortmund is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Bayern Leverkusen being good this year is a little surprising. Maybe not historically, but more recent history. And there should be a third team that I'm telling you right now that's also good in Germany.
And when I say dominant, I mean I've heard of them. That's right. I feel like I've heard.
But I actually don't know who the second team in France is.
I thought the most popular team in Germany was the Patriots. Didn't they tell us that? Because I thought that was the whole thing about why they went there to play.
Yeah. Oh, France doesn't have a second team?
I'm sure they do, but I don't know who it would be.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's show. I mean, listen, America's got equally mediocre teams across the board, so we're good. Sorry, was that unnecessary? Whoa.
I'm not running through the names of the French soccer teams, and I feel like PSG is the one.
I have no idea what you guys have been talking about for the last 5 minutes. I'm like Cody Rhodes. I don't know what's happening. Talking about secondary soccer teams?
Oh, don't tell the French and the Germans that they have secondary soccer.
I mean,
they take it very seriously over there.
What am I going to be banned?
We should quiz Maggie next segment to see if she can name that second Bayern team that he mentioned. I still love.
I know
Leverkusen.
Yeah.
You knew Leverkusen?
Sure.
Yeah, I've never heard of the town of Leverkusen in my life, and I've been to Germany many times.
You guys got to watch more FS2 soccer on weekend mornings.
Yeah, there you go.
Pass.
By the way, Lyon is the second French team.
Lyon?
Yeah, Lyon. Yeah. Sorry. My bad. They used to be really good. They suck now.
Do we need some kind of geography questionnaire?
Definitely. No, we need some shit.
I'm terrible.
We need a geography.
American geography I can do.
What's the capital of South Dakota?
Oh, I'm not good with capital. But where places are, I can do.
All right, what's below South Dakota? What's immediately south of South Dakota?
Idaho.
That's not true.
Really?
I don't think so.
Is it Idaho or Wyoming?
I think it's east of Idaho, but I have no idea. Again, we need a geography tutor. We're bad at math. We're probably not great at geography.
Also, it's Pierre.
Nebraska is immediately south of South Dakota.
Ty's in Boise. Save us, Ty. Who's your best father-son duo in sports?
Well, you guys pretty much covered a lot of the sports athletes duos, but if we're talking announcers, you got to go Jack and Joe Buck.
Man, they're so good, Ty. We had our own Andrew Kaplan put Ian and Noah Eagle in our chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. But Ty, thank you for Joe and Jack Buck all time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that is a profession that lends itself to father-sons. Obviously, Chip Carey and Harry Carey.
You mentioned Marv and Kenny, too.
Yeah.
And I would say I know Marv did do some football, especially more towards the end. But, Kenny does football. He does hockey. He does baseball. I mean, Kenny's a real five-tool broadcaster. Marv, did Marv do boxing?
I'm sure he did.
Obviously, he did the Knicks forever,
Right.
the NBA on NBC, and then he did football.
And the best thing about Kenny is Kenny did all of the grunt work. Like Kenny did minor league baseball, minor league hockey. Obviously, you can't not benefit from being Marv's son, but he didn't start with the Knicks,
right?
Because he was Marv's son. Like he paid his dues and worked his way
A
up.
lot of others didn't.
That was my point.
I would say though the one
Hashtag Jack Collinsworth.
Joe Buck.
The one thing about
I like Joe Buck though, so I don't mind the nepotism.
I do think there's something special to the baseball lineage of going from Jack to Joe Buck and the Cardinals and the Careys. Sorry, there are three: Harry, Skip, and Chip. To be a base and the Brennemans before all that happened.
Yeah, before Tom got
there's something
canceled.
about like the longtime baseball announcers that I think is kind of magical.
Another Carey got a job yesterday. I don't know.
I just saw
the
Chip's son.
grandson or a great grandson. He's one of the A's announcers now.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Chip's son.
Wait, how old is Nance's kid? Still young, right?
Oh, I don't know anything about Nance's kids.
Nance has a young family at home.
Yeah,
He
right.
might have an older generation besides.
Oh, does he? I don't know, but
He's got a 5-year-old son.
Do we
I
get
think.
hello friends?
Hello, friends, from a 5-year-old.
Hello, friends.
Welcome to the Paw Patrol Bowl. I mean, that should be the new sideline for the Nickelodeon games. If Nance has like a 7 or 8-year-old kid, throw him there.
Hey, go ahead.
He's going to rail against this.
Does Nance's kid know more about MLK Day than Tony Romo?
Yes.
Definitely. He knows it's a day. Doesn't need a day. It already is a day.
Nance's grandkid knows more about it.
We forgot a couple buddies. Well, I don't know if everybody's buzzy, but the Shaps. Jeremy and Dick Shap. Dick Shap was so famous. I'm running into a lot of husband-wife teams. That is a different.
Well,
you only get
Dan Hicks and Hannah Storm.
Well, yeah, Dick Stockton and Leslie Visser too.
Yeah, Hall of Famers.
Hall of Famers. And Phil and Chris Sims. Is anyone going to mention our guys? Phil?
Oh man, Phil's great. Chris does an awesome job too. And the younger one is broadcasting also.
Oh, Matt?
He went to Louisville. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Matt played for the Jets a little bit.
Yeah.
He was actually not that terrible.
No, he was at Tennessee. He was a good college player.
Are we leaving anyone else? Does Tirico have any kids? I don't know.
I haven't seen Tirico.
I did see. Hold on. I know Adam Schefter's kid was doing part of the slime bowl.
Her daughter.
That's right.
Yeah.
His daughter.
That'd
be a cool
I saw
one.
a couple.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, who's our guy?
Harlan's kid.
Harlan's kid is now getting jobs.
It's a daughter.
Yeah,
Olivia.
She does a good job too.
God, I hate all these.
You know who
talented
she's
young
married
people.
to?
Who?
To Sam Decker from Wisconsin, the basketball player.
No way.
I think she spends a lot of her time with him in Europe and then comes back for football stuff.
Well, I think we got to the literal bottom of that. I don't know.
I hate all these young talented people.
Wish we kept going.
I don't think there's anywhere left to turn.
Oh, Hubie Brown's kid is announcer. There you go. That's the best one.
Really? That one I didn't know either.
Brendan Brown.
He's the Knicks guy for the longest
right, my
time.
bad. Sorry, I'm thinking TV.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we've got some NFL news. We'll get to that next for you, just coming across the wire. We get that in just a moment. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, got a little news here for you. According to Tim Kawakami of The Athletic, the 49ers closing in on a defensive coordinator. The announcement could be coming soon.
Oh, okay. I heard a front runner. I don't know if is that in the report?
No.
So it's former Chiefs defensive back Nick Sorensen, which shocked me because that dude, remember that guy 49 on the Chiefs,
Yeah, of
who
course.
was always getting in trouble? Daniel Sorensen.
Yeah, I was
who
gonna
was
say.
always getting in trouble because he's always getting beat because the defense left him out on an island. He, I guess, is internal and is one of the candidates out there. I heard Adam Schefter on ESPN say that he's a front runner. That would be so. And the reason was that they traditionally always went internal with
Yep.
Saleh and D'Amico Ryan. So Steve Wilkes had trouble being an external candidate and never really got a fair shake, was the argument.
Yeah, I think that was part of, they made a hire outside and maybe it wasn't the best fit. Obviously, we know Steve Wilkes had to come down from the booth and all of that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they went internal here.
I have the absolutely wrong guy. It's
That's
not
Nick Sorensen, I believe.
Nick Sorensen.
Right.
Now, what's his relation to Daniel Sorensen?
Are we doing best father-son duos today on the
we're
show?
doing
I don't think
more
that's one of
brothers.
them.
I don't know if he's related, but he also was a safety in the NFL.
Right. I'm sorry. I heard Nick Sorensen. I immediately thought of Daniel Sorensen. So there's a guy named Nick Sorensen who is in the mix here.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to go into the scouting combine next week if you don't have a DC, right? I mean, you kind of hope that your coaching staff is set by the combine because you want them to be in on these interviews. I know some of them, they ask rock, paper, scissors, and would you rather be a dog and a cat? But still, this is a chance to get to see all these guys up close in one spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's an argument for internal. So at least you'll have your defensive staff out there. I just think the way Steve Wilkes, I know we argued a lot about this.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like the 49ers defensive coordinator to me. It just felt like they changed directions when things were going so well. I know that they lost Saleh and they lost Ryan to head coaching job. There's nothing you can do about that. But then to bring in somebody with their own system from the outside just didn't make sense to me.
I mean, listen, they got to the Super Bowl. They got to overtime of the Super Bowl. Usually that's when guys get contract extensions. But, listen, Kyle Shanahan, he said it was harder than it needed to be. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, usually you don't get worse on defense than get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but again, could they have figured out? Listen, they didn't want to. That's the bottom line. It's Shanahan's decision. Got rid of Wilkes, and now the next coordinator will be coming soon. Quickly, Carol's in Rochester. We've been doing our father-son duos as our great debate today, and Carol has one for us. Good morning.
Good morning, and go Bills.
There you go. Who's your father-son duo?
Well, it's a father-son daughters. Peter Korda played professional tennis in the, I want to say, 80s and 90s. Probably top 10. He has a son, Sebastian Korda, who's, I think, in the top 10 right now, the men.
Yep.
Maybe the top 20. 2 daughters, both play in the LPGA. Jessica, and I want to say Nellie.
Wow. I didn't know about the golfing side of it. Carol, thank you so much. So Peter and Sebastian Korda, 2 great tennis players.
Well, if you're going tennis, and Dr. J and Alexandra Stevenson,
well.
that is the ultimate crossover. We should have thought of that one.
Well, we'll have to do father-daughters or mother-sons, or we'll do every machination of this.
This summer, we got to do, sister. There's all sorts of things.
Sisters.
Sister. My favorite sister. Tia and Tamara.
Yeah, I was going to say, EJ. We did get someone say Jacob Dylan and Bob Dylan in the chat. I was like, I think that's a different father-son.
Like where you're headed there?
Great guitar duos. Anyway, thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Pilati. Thank you to Andrew Bogish and Andrew Kaplan. You guys on the phones were fantastic today. The Weedos, the coffee drinkers. We'll see you tomorrow. That one kind
You're in a 5-minute break.